Hi.
How are you, doll? It's good to see your face. It is really good to see your face.
Likewise, likewise.
How
Orlando
are
says
you?
hello. He sends his love.
Oh, yes. Hi, Orlando.
Yes.
I sent all my love back from my little heart of coal.
Oh,
I
we
said
don't
all
mind.
my love.
We'll
I
take
sent
it.
all the love back. So, Block, what's going on? First of all, hold me down, chat. I'm not gonna do a lot of talking up front because I like this fucking topic. This is gonna be juicy, right? It's always juicy here.
It
It's
is.
always juicy here. So welcome everybody to On the Block with Jen. If you are here for the first time ever, where you been? How are you? Good to see you. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe as you get comfy to listen to us. Okay, we appreciate having you here. Don't forget you can reach me on all social media platforms, On the Block with Jen, on TikTok, on Instagram. Okay, On the Block with Jen at Gmail. If you want to Gmail me anything at all, but mostly topics, okay, and business. I saw your face, Lily. Don't email me anything at all. This is for business, okay? I got a little carried away. On the Block with Jen at Gmail is for business, collaborations, interviews. You guys have been using it for what it's for, so I appreciate you, okay? Aside from that, Kevin Samuel says, do we have to have our camera on if we want to cam up? Yeah, darling. That's how we do it here. You just missed us. Back in 2022, we was letting y'all argue through avatars, but you just missed us.
Yep. Could have came up here and talked all kind of mess.
Right. Show your grill, babe. Don't be scared. I love these colors, Lily. This lilac and the purple and everything that's going on. I love it.
A lady. She's
I,
got an afro roll.
I love it.
It's like one of my favorite tops. I think I paid like $5 for this top when I first moved
I
here. And
listen. You and I are gonna have to do a little fashion show and show people how we literally get like $5 and $10 items, and we come up here looking like everything. Like we really gonna have to do that. We have to do that for the ladies. We seriously have to do that because we're dead serious when we say $5, $10.
I'm gonna send it to you after the show. In the beginning of the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
I did a live fashion show from my apartment. I changed 12 times live.
Holy crap. Wait, was that the video where you were selling your clothes?
I wasn't selling. I just got bored. I just got bored one day because
I didn't see that.
The world was closed down. Yeah. And I went from winter to summer. And I was just like, it was the craziest thing I ever did. It was a lot of work and a lot of energy, but it came out cute.
I'm sure a lot of people were watching though during the pandemic.
Yeah. I had a captive audience. So
nice. Hello. Speaking of captive audiences, that this doesn't even match, but if you want to support the show, Cash App On the Block with Jen is scrolling on the bottom. I figured out how to work my ticker. I spoke to my Geek Squad, okay, because I lost my ticker. I was like, where's the ticker? I lost my ticker, but my ticker is back. So Cash App On the Block with Jen. If you want to send me a little something and you don't want people in your business, if not, you already know how the super chat works. And if you don't, it is a $sign bottom right. Okay, click that. Throw your comment in there. We will pull it up and we will dissect. I spy with my little eye. Georgia Porgia Pudding Pie.
I was wondering if we was going to have a colonizer tonight. We need a colonizer for this topic.
Hi, George. How are you? Have you been getting some sun?
I'm just extra pink tonight. That's all.
Okay, I was like, wow, this is an interesting shade of pink tonight.
Yeah. I was like, okay, it's giving rosacea realness. I love it. I love it.
Oh, I'm ready for this topic tonight.
Boy, this is a good one.
Yeah.
And we miss you on the block. Like we do.
Yeah. We do. So let me just make a little banner so people know what we're talking about as they come in.
I've been doing a lot of reading on this topic today, and it was rather interesting, disturbing.
Yeah.
And it's because I'm a very solution-oriented person.
Hello.
And I don't know, but maybe we can figure out something. Maybe we could throw some things out there once we dissect it, because we have been known to come up with a few solutions.
Yeah, we have.
On the block.
Us together, yep.
Yeah.
I mean, my solution, how you all will we'll go with it. Parts of it I can see probably agreeing with me in principle. But then, anyway, we'll get into all that.
Yeah, we
all right.
will.
So let's listen. I'm all for the verbal fisticuffs tonight. Hello, darling.
Hello, everyone.
I'm gonna need Haran to come up because me and him disagreed on quite a few points on this
You
topic tonight.
You did, because we were brainstorming. That's how we came up with this topic. We were brainstorming, and you and Haran were disagreeing. So we'll see if he pulls up tonight. We will see. What?
I'm glad to see the original colonizer here because I know he's going to disagree with me. So I'm happy to see somebody's going to disagree with me tonight.
Here goes my thing.
That's what he is. Yeah.
I'm doing double duties tonight. You'll see me looking up the NFL draft is tonight. So this is so I'm constantly
one again.
What's that?
I thought we just had an NFL draft.
I thought that was NBA. No.
Where's the one they did in Vegas at the Bellagio and all that crap? Okay, see, that goes to show how much attention I pay. I just know it's that was a year ago already. Yeah. How it felt like it was just. See, we gotta get on our business because time flies. I remember there was a whole big to do out here. So where is it tonight? Where are they doing it tonight?
Kansas City. What a letdown.
Kansas City.
They go from Vegas to Kansas
City. How do you do that? How do you go from Vegas to Kansas City?
That's rude.
I'm sure it's cheaper. I'm sure it's a lot cheaper.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so tonight's topic, darlings. How is everybody? I'm feeling good. I went to the gym.
I did another 10 miles today.
Okay. Yes, you say yes. 10 miles.
I've been listening for a while here to this show, and I'm gonna make it a point after my trip when I come back to start going to the gym.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Health is wealth. Health is wealth.
Good. Get in there.
Haran's a big part of that too, because he's always talking about going to the gym.
No, we love that. We love that he does that. We love that he does that with the men about the gym because it's so important, like for so many reasons. It's obvious. We know what it is. We're not even talking about vanity and all of that stuff.
I'm like, it's just, we have to do, even if it's a little bit is better than nothing at all.
Yes.
Even if it's a little, you don't have to, don't go in there, don't get all intimidated. Like, what am I doing here? And the guys are picking things up and putting them down. You know what I mean? Stay focused and get in there. It's just a health thing. We're at that age. We're all at that age. And it's a funny thing, speaking of being at that age, we're at that age where we're seeing people like that we grew up watching dying, like Jerry Springer.
Oh my goodness.
Jerry Springer's dead, right? Also, Carolyn Bryant, the Emmett Till's accuser, she's finally dead.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I saw something, but I swear the picture didn't look like a white woman to me. I didn't read the article. It just said,
right.
They have the clickbait and everything, and I was just like, I'm not I hate it. They'll give you half a sentence.
Oh, they do that. I don't. They can't get me. I'm like, oh well.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's why I was with that. I was like, okay, I'm not clicking on it.
Right. Oh, I hate when they do that.
Emmett Till's killer, Byron Della Beckwith, I think he's dead too.
Yeah, the men have been dead. She was holding on. Tough old bag, huh?
Listen, I don't know how you can live with yourself, to that many you I just don't know. Listen, but I don't understand how killers can live with themselves either. Like someone who murders somebody, and I'm not talking about I'm talking about someone who goes out knowing they're going to do malice. I don't know how they can live with themselves, but I can't see how someone who caused a 13-year-old kid to be murdered and go all those years. How she didn't die earlier, I don't know, because that would have just eaten me alive inside. So that's
I'll say I thought about that earlier. And go ahead, George. I'm sorry.
Yeah, No Saint just jogged my memory. I'm thinking about the guy Medgar Evers. that was assassinated by Byron Della Beckwith. Emmett Till was lynched, right? Mm-hmm. When he was lynched?
He was beat to death and then thrown in a river.
Okay, all right. So
yeah. Going back to what you said, No Saint, like because I was thinking about that earlier. I was like, wow, tough old bag. Like the guilt didn't get her. But when you think about the times, right, it was very, very normal to snatch Black people out of their home and murder them and go have a sandwich.
Yeah, right? I mean, and the problem is, like, when I see the picture, I'm like, it's the same thing I feel about that when they executed that 13-year-old, I think it was 13-year-old kid that, I mean, I'm like, really? I mean, were people that, and yes, the answer is yes. People were that cold and had that much, they thought they were better than whatever it was, that they felt that it was okay to put a 13-year-old to death in the electric chair. I mean, I don't, it's one of those things like
barbaric.
Yes.
And the thing is that when we think about it that way, we're like, wow, we're gonna need a big race bell tonight, by the way. But we're gonna need that bell, that big old dong.
Yeah.
Dong.
Yeah, I got a feeling.
Big Ben.
Liberty Bell. But
yeah, I need to run down to Philly real quick and get the Liberty Bell.
Right. But it's funny, even today, you ever run across some people where you're like, if slavery was still on and popular today, you wouldn't have a problem with it.
So that's funny it's funny that we're having this conversation. So on our 10-mile walk today, we had a little incident. Not an incident, nothing dramatic, but it was interesting. It led to a conversation afterwards. So we were walking, and all of a sudden, these two little girls. Now, I'm going to have to kind of use some terminology because of the algorithm. They were small hats, and if you're from New York and you know what the small hats are, they typically are not the nicest. I used to think it was rumors and stuff like that until I lived here, and I was like, oh my God, like this is a whole different treatment. So I usually stay out their way because they stay out of everyone's way. We stay out of each other's way.
They do. They're good at that.
They're good at that. They're good at that. And it's very, they make it very clear. They don't want nothing to do with anybody. They don't want nothing to do with anyone that's not them. Okay. Which I don't have a problem with. Hey.
Right. I like that shit, to be honest.
I don't have a problem with it. So, so I seen, we were walking, these two little girls, I mean, just came up and they were just shaking and bawling and crying. And I was like, hold up, what's going on? When it comes to kids, I don't care who you are, what race you are, it's like, what's going on? So basically the two little girls were lost. And so I'm kind of like, oh God, like, cause I also, Jen, we've had plenty of conversations behind the closed doors. Also know how I feel when it comes to children and also protecting myself. Right.
Correct.
So I'm like, ooh, how did we handle this situation? Because they were so frazzled, they couldn't even remember their mom's number or, and my bestie's next to me, and we're both thinking the same thing at the same time. Like, how do we help these girls and protect ourselves at the same time? Because it's really tricky because we're looking at two innocent children, right? And you got to put aside your bias and their bias because right now that's all that really matters. But, when you're dealing with history and things like that, I love how you brought that up. It's like when you have to put yourself back into a time period where people really justified certain things. I mean, at one point we were cattle.
Yeah.
And it was totally normal, right? So it's really interesting the nuances behind this because I'm pretty sure that woman really felt a way to justify that in her head.
Yeah. She was like, I mean, this is how, you know what I mean? This is what, and probably the only reason, if any of them felt anything, is because the way Emmett Till's mom handled the situation. Like they didn't just I gotta watch my words too, but they didn't just like go away. The little Black family didn't just like go away with another murdered member, you know what I mean, in the community, right? She made a huge historical deal about it. you know, on Facebook, they were like, yeah, they're celebrating that her death, and you know, the memes are really funny. The videos of the skit, they're funny. They're fucking funny.
Yeah.
And you know, they were like, yeah, she, you know, she didn't die. She's gonna go to hell, blah blah. You know, that whole spiel. And then I was like, here's the thing, though, right? She's just one of hundreds of thousands of women that did shit like that. Like when you think about it, like when you think of the Emmett Till story, it's like it's horrific. But you're like, she should have died in a cell, but so should have hundreds of thousands of people who are murdering people for sport and as a hobby and
Jen,
for fun, like hundreds of thousands.
When you have your atheist special again, I want to talk about that story, because my question would be to you, okay, she did all this stuff, and so she dies, and that's just it. So where's the justice? Is that, you know, to hear your philosophy, how you'd walk through that. You know, I
got this one.
Because there is no justice.
Go ahead, Nosing.
No, that's right. There isn't. We're not going to make.
So in other words,
okay. Justice. There is no justice, and life isn't fair. And this lady got away with basically murdering someone, and got to live her life. And yes, it's unfair, but that's what happened.
But isn't
there's no
something
justice
inside you say that's just fucked up?
Yes.
Oh yes.
Now,
sir, as a black man,
I don't want to turn this off into that, but yeah, when we do that,
it's okay. It's okay. We go everywhere on here.
But sir, as a black man, every day I wake up, I say this is fucked up, and I go about my business.
That's
you
it.
learn to get over it. You really learn to get over it.
Right.
Well, you got a point there.
I'm gonna give you guys some. I'm gonna give you guys a funny story since we're talking about optics. So one day, I'm in. You know, it's maybe 10 or 11 at night, maybe 9. We're in the middle of Times Square, and this sister runs up on me, and she says, "Can you help me with this situation?" I'm like, "Huh?" Immediately, I'm like, "Oh boy, here we go." Okay, sis, what's the problem? This particular woman needs help getting home. You know, she needs a cab or whatever, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And I'm like, huh? And before she could even explain to me the situation, she fucking jets off. I look at the woman. It's a woman that is Jen's height, maybe even shorter. She's an Asian woman. And she's smashed out drunk. And I'm like, holy shit.
Oh, well, good luck.
I'm like, this smashed out, bloody Asian woman, not bloody, but I mean bloody in terms of being smashed out and drunk, is now in the arms and is now in my care. And I'm a big, over 200-pound black guy, bald-headed, dark black guy in the middle of New York. Sure, this can end well. There's no way this can end bad. However, one saving grace was I knew who she was. She was one of my coworkers who just happens to be as much of an alcoholic as I was.
Oh, okay.
And I was able to get a car for I got a cab for her. I was like, hey, take her to blah blah blah, yada yada, take her to her home. And I'm thinking to myself, if she doesn't make it home, I'm literally the last person that saw her alive.
Yeah.
So this has to work out for her, work out for me more than it has to work out for her, to be totally honest with you.
Okay, so going back to what George said, because I don't think it's too off subject, because we are talking about there was never justice, you know what I mean, regarding this case. And I happen to think that we're gonna disagree a lot tonight. This is exciting. I happen to think that humans aren't as evolved as people would promote humans to be. I don't think humans are that much evolved. I think that a lot of the things that we don't do is because of laws, and no one wants to go to prison, right? There's a joke that it's like, what that you know, there's a joke that is like, well, what keeps you from being the person you want to be? And the joke is prison.
Yeah.
right? So we don't want to go to prison, but had it not been for laws in prison, a lot more people would die.
Let me tell you something. I
don't think
tell
it's
people
prison.
all the time.
But I want
to hold on one second. I tell people all the time, the only reason why I'm not high right now is because of consequences. I didn't stop getting high because I stopped liking drugs. Okay, let's be really, really, really clear about that. I was sick of getting locked up. That was the problem.
I just want to add to what George's question. I want to say something though, but let's just say, that we all believed in a God. There's no guarantee she's going to hell anyway, because in Christianity, all she would have had to done is truthfully repent, and she would have been fine. So is that justice? In my opinion, no. That wouldn't have been justice either, because she should have paid for that.
I personally don't think that it's because of prison. No, I think people
I'll speak for me then. I don't punch people in the face because I don't want to catch an assault charge.
No, you just said why you don't want to. You're not going to do the point that I'm about to make. No, people don't do what the fuck they want to do because of prison. People don't do what the fuck they want to do because someone's going to find out. There's a difference.
And when they find out, what happens?
There's a consequence.
Right. So I mean, it's the same thing.
The consequence might not always be prison now.
Yeah, but I'm talking about murder. We're talking about murder.
Well, when I'm getting closer to human nature, every time I give somebody that, I always check in on people, and I say, if you had a superpower, or if you could fly, or if you can be invisible, most people choose invisibility because most people want to get away with whatever the fuck they want to do. And this is the reason why the internet exploded, because people were able to jump on the internet, be anonymous, do whatever the fuck they wanted to do, and say what they wanted to say to people. This is one of the reasons why troll culture exploded. So
I never heard so many white people say the N-word till I got on playing.
Like, people love getting away with shit. Like, if people can, and that is the reason why I say that. Yes, this is the reason why. Well, yeah, religion is important, because without it,
and no saying it's not even. No saying it's not even race specific, because until I got on social media, okay, I haven't seen Latin people go off the way they do on social media. I haven't seen Black people be blatantly racist. I mean, racist, where it's like they're matching what the white people are saying online.
Wait a minute, we gotta change that.
Okay.
Y'all slipping out here, man.
No, I'm serious.
Like here,
it's even, it's very interesting, the racism that comes from Black people, because they use the shield of America. Like I can be racist because I don't have political power, so I can throw taco emojis at you. I can throw the swimming emoji at you. Oh, you're Mexican? I can call you a wetback because I grew up in America, and America has oppressed me. So it's interesting how they just do this racism thing where it's but I have a shield, right? And I've even tested it because I do my best to be very centered. Right. I always got samurai in my head. Right. Because I've lost my temper and it's gotten me in a lot of fucking trouble. So it's a daily, stay centered. And sometimes I experiment with people. Sometimes I experiment online. Like, let me see what happens. So I let them do the taco emojis because, they try to insult Puerto Ricans or Dominicans by calling everyone Mexican, right? Like some of them really don't know everybody's not Mexican, and some of them do it to insult. So I was like, let's see how this unfolds. So they throw the little swimming emojis, and they throw the call a Mexican person a wetback, or they'll throw up the taco emojis or the little roach emoji. So then I'm like, okay, let's play. So I start throwing the banana emojis back. And then I start throwing the monkey emojis back. and I'm like, Lily, I'm dead serious. Like, I want to see how this unfolds.
Right.
It wasn't that fun then, was it?
Right. So that's exactly what happened.
Then they crap out.
Yes, and then they cry foul. They're like, "You're a racist," and I was like, "I thought we were playing the racist game."
Right, this is fun. Like, let's do it together.
Right? I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" I thought we were playing the racist game, but I've seen that happen repeatedly, which goes back to what Haran said. People in general, it's not race specific. They want to get away with shit, and social media is the closest way you can hurt somebody without going to jail for it, without getting sued for it, because you could hide. Of course, we could find people. You could check IP addresses, and you could call your guy at one police plaza, and who's in computer forensics. Or is that just me? Okay.
No. I have a good story.
Okay, so you can really, the anonymity here is like, but it goes to show what we've said before about race, and Haran says it eloquently. You're not. It's not oppression that bothers you. How do you say it, Haran? Because I don't want to fuck it up.
Oh no, I always tell people, most people don't have a problem with, oppression. They have a problem with being oppressed.
Right.
There's a difference between that.
Right.
There's a difference between that, man.
Haran, it's like if George is taking it in the ass, Haran's okay, but if Haran's taking it in the ass, then we got a problem. You're right.
Yeah, and if you can look at it. You can look at it as one of the rules of comedy.
It ain't even Freaky Friday. We talking about taking it in the ass.
It's Freaky Friday Eve.
You can look at it as one of the rules in comedy. It's a tragedy if it happens to you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, but if it happens to me, it's funny, right?
Yeah. Jen's skit about Kevin Samuels was a great illustration of that.
Oh yeah, the skit when I was like his last moments, Kevin Samuels' last moments.
Yeah.
They were mad. Did you see that? No sing? You saw that video?
That's funny.
I never saw that shit. What she was?
I did. It was funny, and then your follow up after that, I loved it. It was really hilarious.
One of her funniest skits was the Kevin Samuels one. That was
they were mad. When I tell you, they were mad. I mean, these men were sending me to below hell. They were inventing devils for me.
What?
They were mad. What? They were mad. But going back to what George said, when Kevin Samuels was ripping women,
right?
Oh, of course,
right?
Sure.
It was hilarious. And I was like, I thought we were playing a game. Why nobody wants to play when I get in the game?
I'm telling you, I come up from a family that's equal opportunity. So like everybody can get it. Everybody can
I'm like, I want to play. But I've always been that kid though, where you tap me and I come with a sledgehammer and you're like, no fair. And I'm like, I thought we were playing. I don't want to play.
I always enjoy, like, I know when Ish was on here, you ask Ish a question. Yeah, you ask Ish if he thought that people or people in the Nation of Islam were racist, and he said no. And I called him on it, and he said, no saint, but you guys didn't hear it, so it didn't go on. Because I don't understand. Okay, I understand the whole definition, and definitions you change over time, but the definition of racism is power. Race plus power, I get that. Mm-hmm. But what I told Ish was, are you bigots? And he said, oh, very good, no saint. And to me, a bigot, that's not like less than a racist. It's the same
general. People do shit like that all the time. They split hairs and try to make something sound.
The hair that is being split, and it's all it's being saying is that with racism, you can weaponize your bigotry.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I can't weaponize
but when people, in general, especially white people, a lot of white people, they think, oh, black people can be racist, and they're talking about bigotry. They're not talking. They're not talking about the actual. Either they choose not to hear what your definition of racism or what the definition of racism is. But what I'm saying is, when most people or a lot of people hear racism, they think they hate someone because of the color of their skin, right? Mm-hmm. Or they hate someone for other reasons. But I'm saying, like, a bigot, like being a bigot isn't like first prize, second prize. Being a bigot is pretty ugly too.
But so what that word racist has been fucking remixed over and over again.
And abused.
It's right. Used and abused and misused. Hi guys. To me, it's like you feel like your race or whatever is superior to the next race or whatever. I'm sorry, that's the definition I like.
That's the one I like. I will go so far.
Wait, but some people say, well, there's no such thing. I can't be racist because I'm not part of the power structure. I'm like, no, bitch, you can be racist.
I agree with you, Jen.
You can be racist, but you're hiding behind America, and this is what we're talking about tonight. You're hiding behind that you grew up here as an oppressed person in America, so that's your excuse. But the way you walk and talk and say shit,
I haven't. But you know what? I just thought about something. If we're going to go with their definition that they're providing, right? Then in certain incidents, we can also be racist because we can weaponize our blackness with the race card. Oh, she called me an N-word, and boom, that person's fired. So that's racist.
That's true.
You know, just because you don't like Karen, you know, we don't like her, but she didn't do that. But you knew you could weaponize it against her.
Yes.
Was the Jesse Smollett case kind of like a good example where he played the race card?
It was the perfect example.
There you go.
It was the perfect example.
Look. I would go so far as to say that for a lot of Black children and brown children, we don't like to admit it, but our first introduction to bigotry and our first introduction to classism or preferential treatment is in the home.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Amongst the siblings, amongst the,
yes, sir.
You know what I mean, whose skin is lighter than what, blah, blah, blah. A lot of the shit that is on the outside of the world, we learn and experience a lot of that shit inside of the home. No one really wants to talk about that. And another thing too, there's been plenty of times when seeking employment, I looked at spaces that I knew was trying to check the boxes, and you goddamn right, I filled out a job application over there. I'm going to take advantage of that. You know what I mean? Because guess what? White people take advantage of the shit that they can take advantage of. I'm going to take advantage of the shit that I can take advantage of. It's America. Everybody takes advantage of some shit. You know.
And then and then here's what I wonder, right? When people talk about racism and the power structure and systematic, well, I'm not, the government is disproportionately white. So are there levels, right? Is my question, because here's the thing, right? If I opened up a business, right, I'm going to hire Black and brown people first.
Right. But
right. I'm just going to. Right. Like I'm just, and I don't see anything wrong with that. That's just like, you know what I mean? The small hats. Like I don't see.
For yourself.
I'm sorry. I don't have a problem. Let me tell you something. What's his name? Jared Taylor. White supremacist. Very interesting man. Very interesting man. And I'm like, Lily, I'll listen to anybody if they're intelligent. I don't care
if
who
you're
you
intelligent.
are.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't care if you're a white supremacist, an Asian, or Black, but if you're intelligent, I don't like buffoonery. I do not like buffoonery. But if you're an intelligent person and you're stating your case, and I watched the long time ago, the debate between Jared Taylor and Tariq Nasheed. Tariq Nasheed was so outgunned, so out of place. Like it was almost it was embarrassing that Tariq Nasheed was chosen or picked, or I don't know who set that up for him to debate Jared Taylor. Okay. Jared Taylor is phenomenally intellectual. And this is a white supremacist, but I give props to I mean, he probably won't have lunch with me, but I'm like, I see what I see, right? I try to be a fair person, right? It is what it is.
It'll look this guy. I have no idea who you're talking about.
Yeah. So
me either.
You have to watch the debate between Jared Taylor and Tariq Nasheed.
I know who Tariq Nasheed is. Tonight. No idea.
It was really, and then you have the minions in the comments like, yeah, Tariq Nasheed dragged. I'm like, no.
Oh, never mind. I know that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's a white supremacist. So when I watched what he was saying, and I'm like, I found it interesting because when you don't live when you don't live in victimhood, like, oh, what the white people are doing to me, right? People like Jared Taylor make sense. So he was like, America, since we're talking about America, he was like, America, it's a farce, this melting pot, this big lie. They tell you, the bars and the stars and the eagle and everybody's supposed to be together. It's a melting pot and everybody's coming together. He said, nowhere throughout history, right, do tribes intermingle.
Okay, Jen, can you get the bell real quick?
Unless the bell started alongside.
No. I'm about to say something that's about to really piss people off.
Get the shotgun.
Okay,
you're about to have to get the shotgun for this one. But go on.
Okay, so I'll wrap with this. It made perfect sense to me because I'm like, Jared, like I can seriously have a cup of coffee with this guy, be like, I feel you because I don't want to be around you guys either.
So that's what I was going to say.
Yeah. And when I tell you, I felt nothing. Like I was nodding my head. I was like, Jared, you are fucking right. Because this melting pot, this shit where everybody's at each other's throats, you stay over there. Yep. And we stay over here. And if one day you got something that we need and we got something that you need, maybe there could be a meeting. But after that, y'all go over there. We go over here.
Nothing wrong with that.
When I went I'll wrap with this, I promise I'll throw it back to Lily. But when I went to Puerto Rico, okay, as an adult, not as a child, because as a child, I was like, why are we here? I don't want to go to my aunt's house. I'm going to go the fuck home. But as an adult, when I went to Puerto Rico, it had to be one of the most healing experiences for me. Because no offense, rarely did I see a pale face. It was so healing to be amongst my people who have my complexion and my hair texture and eat my food and listen to my music. And I'm looking out at the ocean and I'm thinking about my ancestors. And it was such a beautiful experience. And I'm like, there are no white people here. It feels so different without white people. I was like, Jared Taylor was right. Eureka! The man was right. And I can imagine when white people move into an all-white neighborhood or a gated community, they don't want to see my Puerto Rican ass with my big earrings going to the mailbox. Right. And I fucking understand that. This is the conversation that people are afraid to have. I understand, Karen, because I don't want to see you in Puerto Rico.
Yep.
Yeah.
And no one's talking about this.
Well, I'm going to tell you two things. When I have never understood when someone says, "Oh my God, she's a racist," or "He's a racist," or "I think he's a racist," or "I think she's a racist," and I'm always just like, "Oh, okay, they can be that. Like it's okay." Like I'm just like, I don't understand what the big problem is. But the reason why I feel that way, later I was able to put it together because I'm like, I've always felt that way, but later I was able to connect to why I felt that way. One of the worst things that ever happened to Black people was integration. Period. Point blank.
Okay, so now you sound like it's like the NOI.
No, I mean, no, seriously. I mean, like when you look at it, and I'm not saying in the whole but it.
We need the big bell. We need the big bell tonight.
I mean, and that's the truth. Like one of the worst things that ever happened to us was that, right? Because we were really thriving prior to, and everyone was kind of doing their thing. I mean,
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that.
We had problems as well. Get that.
Wait a minute. I missed something.
Rewind. I'm gonna let him finish a point.
Black Wall Street.
Wait, we're not going to interrupt because this conversation is too good. Let Lily finish because I don't even know what she said.
Okay, so, but Black Wall Street is always the first thing that people name because that's the most popular. But there were so many other communities like Black Wall Street. You can come here to New York. You had so many different, Seneca Village, and you had Rosewood. You had Black Wall Street. You had so many different communities. Were we going through things? Yeah, we always did. This is America. The DNA of America is racism, right? Yeah. But in our own communities, we were thriving a little better. Like the sense of identity or the loss of identity that we have. And just so many other things that have taken place. Now, am I saying like the whole, because the violence that can come with that too, that's the problem, like with the violence with the tribalism and stuff like that. Like that's the issue that I have with the whole. But I'm kind of with you, Jen. It's like I don't have a problem with being around people who look like me. I wanted to live in a neighborhood full of people of color, but I also didn't want to live in a dangerous neighborhood, because unfortunately a lot of times those two things go hand in hand.
Correct.
That's just the reality. But I was able to find a neighborhood where I do feel safe, where we do look after each other, and where everyone is of color. Everyone.
But for the record, all white neighborhoods, you know what I mean, trailer parks are dangerous for them. You know what I mean? No white person with a great job is going to move into a trailer park because they don't want to get robbed or killed.
Right. Yeah. I got a question for y'all. I mean, you hit on something, and I'll talk about this in depth one day, but talking about racism, like racism proper, I grew up with that. My dad was an ardent racist. Okay? And so to the point that, I'll give you a couple examples. He said that when he was growing up, my grandfather, they had like 1,200 acres.
Breaking up.
You did not come to the white man's front door. You had to go to his back door. And they thought that was just okay. They thought that's the proper order. And so my dad would say this. He'd say, son, he says, you can't bring a black man up to a white man's level, but you can take a white man and you can drag him down to a black man's level. You know?
Wow.
And so, and I'm sitting here bullshitting you if I told you that didn't get in my head and affect me. And it took a lot of time for me to work through that and get those things out. And so, you know, but
and look at you up here now, George, with the Negroes. Yeah. Hi, George.
Yeah. Oh, there's a Negro on the lawn, you know, that, you know, but the thing I was going to ask, y'all hit something. And this is what I have this theory. Even the white supremacists, the neo-Nazis, all them will have some grain of truth in their ideology. And the thing that y'all hit is that, do you think that you want to be around people of your own kind? Because it's not really so much about the skin color, it's about the cultural values.
It's the culture.
Yes.
And so when you force people together who have very different, you know, y'all can coexist with your cultural values, but when you try to force them together and like that, you have conflict. You know,
so that's what Jared Taylor was basically saying. And I'm like, see, but again, you have to come from a place where you're not a victim. Unfortunately, in our communities, people are constantly, so when you're coming from that space, you're easily injured. Hence my scab comment. There's a huge scab, and every little thing somebody says, they're just peeling it off and you're bleeding again. And my plea to people was, stop wearing your blackness as a scab. Stop letting people peel at it, and then you're bleeding again. Right. But, you know, my mistake was thinking that people were evolved enough, right? Had self-determinism, had enough self-love to understand what I was saying. I did not know I was speaking to a huge demographic of people who are comfortable being victims. Because remember, it's like the thing my father said, if someone wants to get punched in the face and you try to help, you become the enemy. Because some people their identity is very much interwoven with, I am a victim. And if you take that away from me, I don't have an identity. I'm weak. Like this victimhood is my crutches. And if you take them away, I don't even know who I am if I'm not an oppressed person in America. Who am I? That means that I'm going to have to work hard. That means that I'm going to have self-determinism. That means that I'm going to have to, I don't like that. Let me just be a victim. It's a lot easier for me to be a victim. And that's what happened with that statement. I'll pass the mic.
Funk Empress, black men wanted access to Becky, 1888, 1968. That is true. And I don't know why that was a thing. But keep in mind, the white man never had to put a law in place to take black women. He just took you. So how does that make you feel? He just raped you. And a lot of you still go in that direction, where you believe that the white man is the answer to a lot of your problems. So how does that make you feel? That's my bigger question. But anyway, we'll talk about integration, so on. I remember Ish bringing that up, and I asked Ish, okay, let's just say that was a thing. We shouldn't have integrated. What resources did we have? At some point in time, you're going to have to go to a white person to get the stuff that you need to build your own businesses. We're going to have to do business with them. They had all the guns, they had all the resources back then. They still do. They have all of these things. So you still have to deal with white people. You know, Ish's no, she was up here, but Ish's concept was always separatism, and it was impractical. It was impractical, especially back then. Separatism from what? You had nothing. The whole civil rights movement was based on actually us having access to things to better ourselves, to get to this area, to get to this place. So yeah, we're comfortable now. We're in the comfort of experiencing, you know, I mean, Black billionaires and millionaires and riches and so on and so forth. We are in the comfort of saying, like, you know, integration should have never have happened. You were never around, but neither was I. Right. So can I necessarily sit here and say that was the worst thing that ever happened? It's kind of easy for me to say that now because I got money. You know what I mean? It's easy for you to say what could have happened and should have happened when you benefited from most of the shit.
So, no, saying, what were you gonna say?
So, listen, and I'm with Haran. I didn't know what it was like before integration, but I did catch Judge Joe Brown talking about it. And there is this thing going around, especially in the conscious community, about
I can't stand that, man.
Well, we were better. Well, it's the same thing though. We were better off when there was separation. And Judge Joe Brown says it wasn't. He's an older guy. That's one person. There might have been other people that disagree with him. So I don't know. I'm just saying. And another
thing, you can have that same disagreement now.
Yeah, but another thing, Jen, you didn't see any white people in Puerto Rico because you didn't go to the Air Force Base there. And I disagree with you, Jen. I think you, all things equal, you would hire Black or brown people. But if there was a white person that was going to uplift you faster, you would hire the white person. Why do I know this?
I mean, I'm not dumb, no saying.
Yeah, because
come
all
on.
you got to look at is an NFL team, and they're going to pick the best available to help them succeed.
No saying, I'm not crazy.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
I may be tribal, but I'm not fucking crazy. If Becky's going to get me some money at the front, like, hi, how are you? Welcome into Juicy.
Even the biggest white racist does that.
But I'm different. Yeah, you're right. I'm different though and I don't know what Haran's opinion is on the whole. I would rather be here. I like the mixing. I just do.
No saying, it's such a saint.
I live in a neighborhood. It's a mixed neighborhood. It's not. I mean, it's not like I picked it because it was mixed, but it doesn't bother me. And I like and being from New Orleans, there's a lot of mixing of cultures. And it was a beautiful thing to see what comes out of a mixing of different ideas from around different cultures.
But let me jump in here. Yeah. And I think Lily and Haran know where I'm going.
Yeah.
That's why I'm laughing.
But you know, a white man, he's like, hey, I love living with the colored people, right? But we know, see, us, the way we grew up, white people represented problems for us.
Yeah.
Whether we worked corporate America or we were in the hood. In the hood, y'all were the damn cops. Y'all were trouble to us in the hood.
Yeah.
In corporate America, the Karens were a fucking problem. The white boss was a fucking problem. So yeah, if I was a white man, I'm like, come on in, little coloreds. Kumbaya. But with us, it's already like, oh. And then we got to see, is this going to be a Karen bitch? Or is she going to be a regular nice white lady?
No,
you know what I mean?
I understand. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know, I see your point. I do understand.
It's like,
But what I'm saying, and there's way too many people like that. I agree. That's going to spoil everything. But I'm just saying in general, like this whole separatist, I wouldn't want it. And I'm even if I just, in general, I mean, I like people from other countries. I like mixing, so that's just me though.
I would say to your point, I would say in 500 years from now, what you're talking about would probably be better for even us, for even people of color, like in 500 years. But in this country, the way I'm telling you, if slavery came back tomorrow, okay, a lot of white people would be like, I don't see nothing. Can I get one? Can I get one on sale?
Too much anyway. I mean, like, what is this?
I feel like it's interesting that you all are from New York, and I've only been to New York one time, but that is such a melting pot.
Hell, fuck yeah!
Mixtures of different cultures, and to me, it was so exciting to be there.
Okay, so this is
that whole thing
that
about
takes you to the
melting
point I
pot
was
and
about.
they're diverse and all that. Yeah.
I was about to make a point on that. When I was making my point, I'm not saying go back to the 50s. That's not what the fuck I'm saying.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is segregation light, right? And that's what New York gives you. You go to New York, yes, we are a big melting pot, but typically people stay in their neighborhoods with people who look like them. And that's what I'm talking about.
Little Italy, Jamaica, Queens, Chinatown,
Jackson
even
Heights.
in New York, even in the melting pot. The melting pot is usually the subway.
Exactly,
right?
The city, the subway.
Right. Another thing too, the melting pot. I'm in New York, and I'm so happy I was born and raised in New York. It is a beautiful thing. Like in our neighborhoods, right? Let's say in the South Bronx, you're gonna see Ak, you're gonna see the Indians, you're gonna see maybe one or two white people, maybe sprinkled around. You're gonna see Black, you're gonna see Latin, but we're all on the same level. There's no classism there.
Right.
Yeah.
No one can afford to be racist there. We are going to the same bodega and the same laundromat and the same Chinese food takeout. So our melting pot is so unique, and it is a beautiful thing, but we're all on the same, you know what I mean, wavelength, and New York is a whole vibe.
Yeah.
But Jen, I'll tell you, if I could just real quick, living here in the South, here's the story we get down here. Having neighborhoods like y'all have, where it's by culture, if we have them here, we're automatically, the white people are keeping the Black people out, and the white people are keeping the Puerto Ricans out, or whatever. It's painted in that way. Now, granted, there have been instances where that is absolutely true, but for a lot of it is, at least where I'm from, people just, like you just said, they congregate where people who look like them. There's a section of town here where the East Indians live. It's in Ironwood. They call it Ironwood. And that's where they all live. Why? Because they have a common culture, a common religion, they have common food, all that stuff. The music is different. And I work around a lot of Indians in my line of work, a lot. And we get along. But there's this understanding that I'm like, okay, it's like our cultures kind of bump up against each other, but we don't really fully integrate. And it's kind of like, it's cool. They're not trying to change me. I'm not trying to change them.
And that's, but you know what, that was making.
That's a great point, George, because there are people of color who insist being loved and liked by white people. They want to be in your space. They want to be accepted by you. They want to. There's a lot of that goes on too. Yes. There's a lot of white worship where it's like, I need the white people to like me, because if the white people, and we see it, it's right in front of our face. It's blatant. When you look at something like the Oscars or the Grammys or the Emmys, for instance, right? You see all the people of color show up to that because those are the prestigious awards. Why? Because the white man is giving them out. That's why. We have to be at the Grammys and Emmys. And then you look at something like the BET Awards or the Soul Train Music Awards. It's not star-studded in the front. You're not going to see Will Smith and Beyonce and Jada Pinkett. You know what I mean? You're not going to see Idris Elba, at the front of the Soul Train Music Awards. You're not going to see them there because it's more important for them to be at the Oscars and the Grammys and the Emmys. And it's right there in front of your face. They want that white acceptance and that white stamp. Like you good with me.
You know what I saw? You know what I saw on my page that kind of bothered me? I posted when I was in Ebony, and everybody was like, and when I posted I was in Vogue, it exploded. And I was just like, wow.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Exactly. And it was just like, you know, these are mostly Black people on my page, you know, so it's like I see the white worship even in the like you said, in the entertainment business and the accomplishments that we get, right? So like we can do 2 projects, both equally as creative and good. One is an all Black project and one has an ensemble cast that are mostly white, and you probably the only Black person, and you'll get more praise from Black people for the project that you did with the white people. So it's a real thing. We see it in every facet of everything.
Listen, if
New Diamond is going in.
If I see it. If I owned a business, you know, I'd only put my face on it if I wanted to do a little dog and pony show and for the community and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? Get some props for it. If I wanted to make some money, you know what I mean, I'd pay someone to basically say that you own it. Like, no say. Or George. George looks like a guy who's been doing something for a very long time and he knows what he's doing. So, you know what I mean, push him in the front, you know what I mean? And people be like, yeah, that looks like a white guy who knows what he's talking about and we can trust. Yeah, fuck it. Let's just give him some money.
White
you know what I
mean?
mean?
Always colder.
You know, look, listen. And y'all know this. Y'all can attest to this.
Yeah.
How quick, Jen and Lily, how quick and how many times did that phone ring in this business that we are in when they found out you was fucking with some white money? When they found out white money was involved.
Every time. I got so many stories about that. Listen, I have a joke that every time I post something that shows that I got some white money, how much my inbox floods with my electricity, my kids is hungry, and the every time.
A motherfucker called me when they found out I was involved with some white money. And I changed my number. I never gave it to him. And he got my number. I don't know how he got it. But he was able to actually get on the phone with me. I didn't speak to him for like 6 years. I was like, get the fuck out of here. I'm telling you, man, Black people, when you have white money, God forbid it's white Jewish money. Oh my God. You know what I mean? If they know that's around you or you're involved in that, in your situation, all of a sudden they want to cling to your situation. And I've seen it 101 times.
Yep.
New Diamond is like, down with the Black man, down with the Black.
I don't know what to tell you, sweetie. I'm good. These ladies can attest that I'm a dude that I'm not perfect, but I can't relate to these Black dudes.
Right. If you don't, listen, if it doesn't apply, let it fly.
It's just not harming me.
So is America a land of the free to a fall?
Yes, like I told you, ladies. I mean,
with that said, I'd still hang out with you, no Saint, George. But I have a quota, right? I mean, we went over the quota actually with George. We were already at the quota with no Saint. Now we're over the quota. No one else could come in. No more. If you're listening and you're white, no more. If you're listening, that's it. We filled our quota. We're good.
It's not fucking Oregon. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, all right.
I mean, I love it because they don't agree. Like it's great. Right. It's like two sides. So I'm like, I'm good with it.
We got our conservative and we got our white liberal. We mixed.
Center.
Libertarian.
Left center.
You're libertarian?
Libertarian, yeah.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Yeah.
And my answer to the question, Jen, is kind of, but the freedom is an illusion. We're not as free as we perceive it to be. A lot of it is an illusion. Oh God, I mean, it's so many things that that's the problem. You know the saying that and you know I don't really particularly care for this saying, but I feel like this saying is appropriate for this. I think they said the saying is something like the biggest trick the devil have is to convince you that he doesn't exist.
Correct.
It's like that with this. Like, you know, the biggest trick is to convince them that they're free. And everybody's like thinking like, oh, I'm doing what I want to do. No, you're not. No, you're not. Mm-hmm. To a limit. Because no, it doesn't look like China. because that's blatant. It's what is it? Covert. I get the
totalitarian.
Overt. Authoritarian.
Yes, it's
Overt,
authoritarian,
overt.
and it's more in your face, kind of
North
like
Korea,
it's kind of like the Republican Democrat type of situation, right? Where the Republicans be like, we don't like your ass, and then the Democrats is like, oh, we're here for you. You know, it's like kind of like that, right? So that's America. America's going to be like, oh, you're free, nothing to worry about, nothing to see here, right? Now, when we look at what's going on in a lot of things, let's just go with these trends, right? Everyone's so free, but everyone's doing the same damn thing. Why is that? Right? No one even asks where these trends come from. They just do it. They just hop on a crate and fall off a fucking crate, not even asking why I'm on this crate. It's things like that where I realize, like, damn, we are like, as a country, we're definitely not free when you look at mentality and emotion. They play on our emotions all day long. You don't see the psychology in every single thing. So I look at things like that, like America creates problems so they can get a reaction, and they're like, oh, we got the solution, it's right here, but it's gonna cost you a little bit of your freedom. It's gonna just a little bit, you know.
I'm feeling I gotcha. Yeah, you're right.
You see what I'm saying? So that's the issue that I have with America. There's a lot of an illusion of a freedom, so it keeps us calm. Like the whole recycling thing. People are calm because we think we're recycling. Because we're separating our trash. They'll fine us $1,000 or something like that if we don't do it.
What they say is a very small percentage.
Very small percentage, and they just dump it in the trash.
And I'm a recycler.
Me too.
I'm not.
I'm a recycler.
Me
too.
I've never fucking jumped on that fucking train a day.
But
of my life.
You get fined though.
Yeah, you get
fined. No, I don't get fined. No, I don't get fined. The landlord gets fined.
The landlord gets fined.
Well,
I just got fined.
I don't get fined.
But that's what that's just a couple of examples or whatever. We are we're subdued by the illusion.
Jen, trash is trash. If it can't be consumed, it's trash. Put it in the fucking trash. Throw it away, and all this separating.
You know what I even do? I cut the plastic straws. Like I take a scissor and I cut them into a bunch of pieces before I throw it in the trash, because the turtles is gonna get stuck in his little nose. It's gonna get stuck in the
mathematical probability of that, Jen, is so way off. They took you're
not going to defend me and the turtle?
No, I think
the probability. No, say the probability of that happening. They took one turtle.
I saw it.
Turtle. They took one turtle, pulled the shit out of his nose, and had you all thinking that all these turtles is walking around here with straws.
And I was traumatized because the little turtle, and I'm not going to be responsible for a little turtle having a stuffed straw in his. I'm going to cut my straws.
You know what I mean? None of these animals are choking on 6-pack plastic. They're not.
I saw the videos. Yes, they are, because they dump the garbage in the ocean.
There is a huge garbage island.
It's horrible.
Yes, there is. But it's like maybe a fish got caught in a
see, you're a savage. You are a savage.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I hope next time you go to a restaurant and cut open your sea bass, there's a fucking bottle cap. There's a bottle cap inside him.
And if it's a little smaller, you know it came from Jen.
Oh my God. A little cut up one. I'm gonna IG that shit, and I'm gonna send it to her. I was like, "You did this shit, bitch. This is your fucking fault."
I cut them up every time. They got me. I'm sorry, they got me. I've been bamboozled.
God.
I was traumatized.
I try to recycle like my own way, the best way I can, and try to reuse something over and like try to figure out a way to repurpose it and things like that. Because I was very distraught to find out that my recycling efforts were doing nothing.
I know. I was upset about that.
I don't feel nearly as bad that Louisiana still doesn't have a recycling program down here.
Well, let me tell you the story about recycling where I'm at. Pandemic happens, and y'all know what happened after that. in terms of the economy. Well, the mayor comes on the TV and he says, look, things are gone to shit here so bad. We're not going to do recycle. We have a garbage day and we have a recycling day. Okay. And so they cut out the recycling day. And, people who were all down for, maybe Jen, I'm going to cut up the straws. You know what they did? They said, fuck that shit. We're putting it in the garbage can. Cause what they charge us for a garbage fee for the collections. And we were like, hell no, you're going to take away my recycling and we're still going to have to pay full price. Fuck you. We're not doing that. Yeah, they were pretty hardcore about that. I thought that was kind of funny, but I do recycle mainly like the glass and stuff like that. I think stuff that's obviously they can't.
Aluminum.
Yeah, aluminum, all that.
Yo, I'm so horrible, or maybe good. Rumi, ask the question, baby. You've been saying, can you ask a question for a while? Right. Ask the question. Yeah, I even see, I gotta stop. Yeah, you trying to corrupt me though. I wash out the mayonnaise jars, the ketchup bottles.
You take the lid off.
Why are you washing out?
Because the people that work the recycle places, then they're gonna have to wash it out.
That's their job.
I'm already at the sink, Haran.
You've done 95% of their work for them. All they got to do.
That's why they lazy. That's why half the shit already done by the time it get to them.
Y'all are evil. Yeah, you religious people are evil. Just evil to the core.
I'm not religious.
Evil heathens, all of you, the whole lot.
Jen, to answer your question about freedom for me, is America the land of the free to a fault? Yes, I agree, and here's why. Is that if you don't have moral restraint, the freedom you have becomes, it's like it turns into chaos. It turns into, I'm just going to do whatever the fuck I want to do, no matter what the consequences are or what have you, that kind of thing. So when I say moral restraint, yes, I'm talking about in a religious sense, but you can also have morals from a completely humanistic point of view too. And so to me, it's all hangs on a morality, an ethic that we have to get back to. I'm not talking, somebody's going to say I'm talking about putting religion back in schools, and that's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying a common level of decency. I know, let's define that, but you can call it traditional values, you can call it whatever, because one of the things I've studied in communist totalitarian regimes, one of the first things they do when they take over is they crack down on all kinds of moral deviancy. Cuba for the first time legalized I think homosexual. They took it. It's not a crime to be gay in Cuba now, right? So what they'd say is we're building up this proper society, and one of the things is they felt like to have a completely ordered society, you had to be dictating to people from the top down what the morals are, right? But my belief is that it comes from, it's kind of like you with self-determination. It comes from within, and then that guides you. But if people cannot basically control their fucking self, then you know what's going to happen. Then the government's going to come in. We're going to control your ass. We're going to, we're going to do it for you, and you're not going to like the way they do it. So I'm kind of like with Lily on this. I don't want to misquote you, Lily, but for me, I'm willing to take on the free speech front. I'm willing to take the whole thing in order to keep the free. It's that precious to me. Like on the Second Amendment, I'm the same way about that. But anyway, I'm getting off the box.
Would you be happy in let's say the reason why when we were talking behind the scenes, Lily and Haran and I, and we were talking about this and they were kind of debating their points, I was looking, who sent the China video? Was it you, Lily? Okay, so Lily sent a video.
I forgot.
No, I think it was Lily.
I did.
Okay, so basically schools in China, they put this little this little headband that can tell whether a kid is concentrating or not, or falling asleep or paying attention.
It's like a
And
mood
then
ring.
there's it's like a mood ring, right?
Right. AI teachers.
They were saying that, you know, there's no scientific proof that helps the kids, blah, blah, but they're being conditioned to think, oh, what I'm doing is being watched. It's being monitored, right? So you're going to be there. You don't want the little light, because it was lights, red, green, whatever. So you're like, well, I don't want my light to go white. So let me be alert and pay attention, because the teacher's going to be like, hey, your light is white. We need it pink, right? So I'm looking at it and I'm seeing all the children in the schools, uniform, sitting up straight, paying attention. And then cut to, like in a movie, America, and teachers are boxing students now in the class. And they're all over the floors, okay? The kids are fighting for their phones. They're fighting their teachers for their life, for their phones. I mean, blows on the floor, blood, hair getting pulled out. And then I look at China.
Look, listen.
Now people say China's authoritarian and it's too strict, but I'm like, but I like China. I like what's going on over there.
Because we don't live there.
Right. But when you think about...
It just looks better.
Right, it looks better. But when you think about how strict China is, like, I want someone to tell me, because I don't know shit about China. I haven't traveled to China.
Oh.
Give me the pros and cons of living in China. Like, do people just like America? This is my question. Do people just like America? Is America land of the free to fall? Do people just like America because anything goes here? It's like that aunt, okay, that you used to hang out with. And she was like, look, your mother's not watching, take a sip. Is that what America is to us? And we just like, oh no, not China, they're too strict. But look at us.
Yeah.
Look at us. Our kids are zombies, okay? Marriage rate is gone to shit.
Yeah.
The economy is gone to shit. America's sweethearts are a bunch of whores. The music is getting worse. Like, so I'm like, so why don't you like China? Because they're gonna make your kid wear a mood ring on their forehead? Like,
no.
Well, here's the thing. I just want to say one thing real quick. Okay, I understand where this is going. I understand. I can just hear the comments already. Keep this in mind, okay? I have no issue with a little authoritarianism, maybe a little dab circle of some communism in there. You know what I mean? Just a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? But, or some form of it. But here's the thing, man. One of the main things about China, that the concept of it and the way in which they live their lives in their government, is that the approach is extreme, is seen as extreme. But we don't discuss the possibility of a society that's extremely lax.
Right.
What does that look like too? Does that look similar to America? Are we going in the direction of a country that's just extremely fucking lax?
So that's the point. I realized as the day went on, I was like, I think Haran and I,
which is just as bad. Just to let you know.
But that's what I was about to say. I was like, as I was talking to my bestie, we was going on our walk today, and we were talking about the debate you and I were having. I was like, you know what? I think we're actually maybe saying the same thing, just in a different way. Because the thing is, it's the extremes that I have a problem with, right? So they're extremely authoritarian, and we are extremely laxed. So there are elements from both places that I would like to implement. Because right now we have no structure. We're like that home, you know, like it's like two homes, right? You know, growing up, like I grew up in a house that was very just like, it was censored. It was very censored. And then you have the friends that couldn't blink. And then you had the friends that were smoking with their mom, right? And so you get to see like, oh my God, like I'm glad I live here because that's crazy and that's crazy. traveling will kind of show you some of the countries that are a little bit more centered. Like when I went to Aruba, they was chill as hell. Nobody was too rich. Nobody was poor. They said it was one homeless man on the island, and that's because he chose to be, but everyone looks after him, you know, and it's like, you know, it can exist, but the fabric of how this country is and how far we've gone, like Haran said, I think the only way is going to be a little bit of authoritarianism that I wouldn't have a problem with. But the problem is, history has shown is like, you give our government just a little bit of power, just a little bit, they're going to come back for more and more and more. And then we're going to end up like China, because power is very addicting. So that's why I hesitate to be like, oh, let's do what they're doing. Because it's like, okay, that'd be cute for a minute, but how long until we become them?
Before No Saint says something, I just want to say I'm not blowing China. I'm just saying what I saw online before people, you know what I mean? Before they're like, so go to China then.
You goddamn communist.
Right. It's like,
this is what this is.
Right. It's not, I don't know a fuck about China. I saw a video.
Yeah. You're a racist and a commie.
Let me set this up. Where did you see the video?
I'll send it to you.
Yeah,
it was what you all would call a reputable source.
No. Okay, I didn't know if it was TikTok or what.
No, it
was mainstream.
Let me explain some things about China. Now, because I used to be similar and certain, like I was like, wow, China's got it going on. They got a command economy, and at a time, probably 10 years ago, they were a lot less strict. It was kind of like almost not capitalistic, but it was a lot. They had the freedoms were kind of there. This is the thing. You're only see, and I know this because I listen to people that have lived there, that several different people that have lived there, speak the language, understand the culture. They only let you see what they want you to see.
Right.
Sure.
We let you see.
Sure.
We let you see everything. So the teacher, well, yeah, but the teacher's fighting. That's not in every school. I don't. Of course not. To be honest with you, I can't think of one school here yet that, I mean, there might have been something, but I mean, it's, you know, that's not in every school. It's not like every school people are fighting, but the school my kids go to, they don't allow it. So there are some schools that obviously things like that get away. So China's only letting you see. There's a lot of problems. You think that people think that China, there's a social safety. They don't have a social safety net in China. There are homeless people in China. There is no, like, we have more of a social safety net in this country than China has. They are very, here's the pros. You want to know a pro? The pro is if they have a problem, they can immediately address it, where in America we have to go through a system and a lot of bickering, and it takes a long time to get. So that's to me, that's one of the few things. But there are a lot of warts that you're not going to see, because China is big about their what they project out into the world. So I am totally, first of all, I'm not going to be for authoritarianism. Now I want to pivot to freedom, because that's what this was originally about. And I know Lily went over this a little bit and said, I'm not talking about China, but if you travel enough around the world, freedom to me, when I think about America being free, you're right, Lily. Our lack of freedom is in the mind. They can, the way our mind works, they can program us pretty easily. They know what makes us tick, right? But freedom, just look at your passport. And look at Erica, couldn't get out of her country for the longest time. A lot of people in these Latin American countries that would like to leave can't. Their passport doesn't get them anywhere. That's one type of freedom, I think. So do we have too much freedom? I mean, it just depends on what, I do think we have a relatively free country, but freedom to me doesn't mean that you do whatever you want. That is like, maybe George, libertarian or something. I don't think that we should be allowed to do whatever we want, but I do think we have a lot of freedoms, and I think that many people, especially people that have never been anywhere else don't understand that the privileges we have, and I'm not waving the American flag, I'm not that type of person, but we do have a lot of privileges and a lot of things in this country that other people around the world don't really have. So the freedom to travel, the freedom to not, for most of us, not have to miss meals. There are some people that do, I realize that. I don't know. I don't, as far as, do we have too much freedom?
You could say that in some ways.
Yeah. So I want to say, again, this is not about China, right? Yeah. No. I literally, after I saw that video, I got interested, and I was like, and then I started Googling authoritarian countries in general. So China's not the only one. China's not the only one that cracks the whip. There are a lot of countries out there. Right. There's a lot of countries where it's like
much worse. That's probably the worst is North Korea.
Yeah, everybody whooping our ass in education.
Right. But here's the thing, and this is going to be controversial and people going to hate me for it, whatever. But I will say this, like, yes, you shouldn't tell people what to do with their bodies. But that whole Roe versus Wade and the abortion thing, I guarantee now women are going to think twice. Sorry. Mm-hmm. Right? So I'm like this. I'm like, no, how dare you tell a woman what to do with her body? How fucking dare you? She wanted the fucking, but I'm like, but people fucking need rules because y'all are fucking, you will run amok.
Mm-hmm. Jen,
you will run amok.
Look, listen, when we were coming up younger, coming up, Jen and I and Lily, the biggest running gag was that our white counterparts at the ages of 7, 8, 12 or whatever, their parents let them run fucking muck.
Yeah.
Their parents let them talk to them any kind of fucking way. We would see them in the goddamn supermarket negotiating with their fucking kids and shit like that, and all that. Be like, well, the psychologist said that we should do this, and we would just sit there in awe, like, wow, this is incredible. Because first of all, there was no negotiations in my home. Jen and I come from a Caribbean home. There's no negotiations.
We couldn't touch the remote control.
Absolutely, man.
We didn't buy the TV, therefore it was not our remote control.
Look, listen. It was explained to me that I'm poor. Your parents have money.
But I love it.
You know what I'm saying? Look, listen. One of the things they don't talk about, corporal punishment was actually a thing in Caribbean schools. Like, here's what
who is this first? Harumi, Ida, I don't know if you're a man or a woman. Who are you talking about? Who are these three ninjas? Like, who are you referring to? Who are these three ninjas? I don't understand. I don't know if you're a man or a woman, but can you clarify that for me? I don't understand that.
Anyway, to close the point here that we're making is that we come from a world that was structured. There were rules. It was clear who was in fucking charge.
Yeah.
In America, we're in this space now where it's just like, who's driving the fucking bus here?
Yeah.
There's no one sitting behind the steering wheel.
What do you mean I gotta ask my kid, if he or she feels like, what the fuck do you mean? I'm not asking anybody shit. This is my house.
Yeah.
I feed you. This is my house, this is my rules. If you're 18 and you're still in my house, motherfucker, you about 5 minutes away from being a homeless adult. I can literally have the cops come here and take you out of my house. This is what it is.
But again, which is also bad. It's not good.
Right.
It's not good, but you know what though? But you know what, Jen? But
there's
you know
no
what,
balance.
Jen? Do you know what, Jen? You know what, Jen? Well, you know what? Here, look. This might sound like some fucked up shit, but when in human history has there ever been?
Oh, okay. Is that Jesse Lee Peterson, Umar Johnson, James David Manning? I only know Jesse Lee Peterson, and Umar Johnson. I don't know who James David Manning is, but I'm sure if he's in a sentence with those other two, I'm sure he's a colorful personality. I get what you're saying, Hara. I totally get what you're saying, but our fathers were tyrannical.
And you know, like I see.
Look at us though.
This is the thing when it comes to the school system.
Touche.
When it comes to the school system, like Haran, you know, you definitely have a huge point. I mean, not just the school system. A lot of it's just everything is so extra. We're in an extra liberal society right now. You know, very PC, very like do you know in certain states, if I am in school and I decide I want to be called frog, right? You, teacher, have to call me frog without my parents' permission. Even if
I'm leaving. I'm learning Chinese and I'm leaving.
Listen to this though. This is how far it goes. Even if I act up and you call my home to talk to my parents, you have to call and say frog. With acting up in school, I cannot make this up. I actually researched some of the laws that are going on in the schools right now, and that's why I sent this quote that someone had posted. It says, "This is how it is today. The teachers are afraid of the principals. Principals are afraid of superintendents. Superintendents are afraid of the Board of Education. The Board of Education is afraid of the parents. The parents are afraid of the children, and the children are afraid of nothing."
Now, Lita, I just got to ask you a question. So the child can make this decision without any parental awareness? Yes. Just call me frog.
Frog, yes.
So you could be calling this child's home and said, "Look, frog ain't doing his homework."
Yes.
And if I'm on the phone, like, first of all, ain't no frog live here. I don't know who you're talking about. You have the wrong number. Is this from India? I don't know what's going on here. You know what I mean? Well, your son, son wants to be referred to as frog.
That's what I'm talking about. Is America land of the free to a fault? Going back to what No saying, you said, No saying, where you was like, no, that's not every school, but teachers are quitting.
They are, and
teachers are quitting. You know the teachers that are coming into our school systems, them BBL bitches. Okay, who want to take pictures so they could go viral. Look, I teach first grade and look at my ass. That is what we're getting now.
And they off during the summer.
Again.
Teachers are quitting, No saying.
Listen, I think everybody on here, I don't know about George, but I can assume, is falling for the okie doke of culture wars. Like, it's everywhere. This whole stupid, like, the Republicans are all about culture wars that affect, if anything, a small percentage, and sometimes it's outright lies. Like, there might be this one person calling himself frog. I've never heard that, and I think it would be it would be big news if that was nationwide. Like,
but they don't know the stuff that they don't put on the news is the best shit.
Yeah, yes, but what I'm saying is we live in a society that shows us 24/7 news that makes you feel like everything is happening. And I'm not saying this. Listen, I'm not saying some of these things aren't happening. I just don't think it's an epidemic.
It's bad. What I'm saying.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
I got kids in school.
Let me ask you a question.
No, but you don't talk to
teachers. Do they go to
I have a lot of teacher friends, and all of them, every single teacher friend I have either has quit, and I'm talking about people who I remember talking about how much they love their job. I'm talking about, I remember I had a friend sit in my apartment on a Sunday. She started shaking and crying. This is a person who loved what she did. She started shaking and crying at the anticipation of Monday, because that's how horrible things have gotten because of these devices with these children.
Because somebody called themselves frog? Or because
no. It's just these devices. It's these devices. These kids are so attached to these
devices. Okay, so why can't there just be a law?
Let me jump in. I understand what No Saying is saying, right? No Saying is trying to say that you show me one turtle with the straw in his nose, and now that's all the turtles in the ocean.
Exactly.
However, this is a phenomenon. We've never lived in a society where this has been happening. This is not the turtle with the straw in his nose. This is literally children fighting their teachers over their phone. So I understand what you're saying, but you don't think that it's a slow drip? Like there are a lot of things now that are prevalent and really, really bad in this country that it was just one person at first. Remember when Kim Kardashian was the first one with the fake ass, with the fake titties? And now all over in droves, women are online with the fake ass and the fake titties looking. Matter of fact, one just died 2 days ago, a Kim Kardashian lookalike. Died of a heart attack on a table, having another surgery. So there's always that one, but you don't think it's a slow drip with these machines and kids in school? Like, yeah, your kids go to a great school, you go to the PTA meetings, but we're seeing these videos more and more often. A fight between a teacher and a student, that shit was non-existent when I was growing up. It was happening nowhere. We knew that.
I meant to tell you this later on. This same friend had to get, I think I sent you all that one. She had to get taken out of her class from teaching. She's in the office now because of the phone. She said she told me, these phones, she says, it's so crazy. They said, if you threaten to take the phone, they said it's like a switch that turns on. They said it's like a possession. Right, like
it's an addiction.
It's an addiction. It's an addiction.
Yeah, it's an addiction.
It's an addiction.
And then not just having the phones. Let's just be clear what they're doing with the phones in class.
Yeah,
right. In class, they're watching porn. They're watching things on Instagram. They're watching movies.
TikTok.
They're watching us, right? Like if we were like, because they're watching stuff that's live, and people are like, this is a 16-year-old. Aren't you in school? Why are you on my live? You know, like all of the teachers saying that if there's something that happened with this lockdown, these kids came back totally different. They have no attention span. They're addicted to their phones. They don't listen. They're like, why am I here when I can be rich like such and such and be on TikTok? Like there's a lot at play here.
But that's why I'm saying that it's a slow, dangerous drip, and it's not like I don't think it's isolated incidents. Not this, because everyone has a phone in their hand.
All
now,
right.
if phones were only exclusive to 16-year-olds, and it was like China where TikTok is shut down after a certain time, and they don't even let you see certain things, then that's different.
Okay, this is what I'm going to say. We don't know, right? Obviously, we don't know what is going to happen 10 years from now as a result of this. But I will say this. Louisiana isn't the beacon of the United States when it comes to education. In fact, we're always fighting with Mississippi for the bottom. And these schools can do it. So to me, it's whoever's running that school needs to be held accountable, because there's nothing. They need to, you don't show up with the phones. I mean, it's not that hard. The school my kids go to is a good school, but it's a public school. And if they can do it, why can't all these other schools be doing the same?
So they're not.
Why can't it be a nationwide law? Why can't it just be a nationwide law?
It's not really a law. It's just
it's the laws. No, saying that's what I was saying. It's the laws that are preventing these people from disciplining or correcting. There's laws protecting the children.
You would never find me saying that we need some principal with a freaking belt.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is they're not allowed to do shit. No, saying that's what I'm saying. They're not allowed to do shit.
You're essentially saying that these teachers' hands are being tied. See, here's the point. Here's the problem. Here's the problem here, no saying. I'm going to give you an example. No saying. George and I, you're a software engineer, right, George?
Yeah.
I'm a software engineer also. I'm gonna let you in a little secret. One of the toughest things about being a software engineer is trying to convince upper management that a problem is on the way. Reason why that's one of the hardest things to do is because upper management only recognizes the problem when the system's burning.
That's how most people are.
Now, the problem with that is that
too late.
Once the system is burning, they look at you and you're like, well, now the problem is far more complex than the solution.
That is human nature.
We wouldn't be here if you just listened to me 6 or 7 months ago when I said that, hey, this is going to happen.
That's human nature. I'm starting to believe that that's human nature, because
it is very much human nature. This is one of the reasons why
they don't care until it's too late.
Well, I agree that humans in general are not far-sighted when it comes to problems. They're very nearsighted. It's got to be close to you. I agree. You got to be close to the fire before we react. That's why this whole global warming thing is never going to be taken care of till cities like New York are underwater, and then they're going to say, "Oh yeah, maybe it was real." Yeah. But what I'm saying is, I've heard these things all before, right? I've heard it with, if we let gay people get married, what's next? We're going to marry goats. I've heard rock and roll music, rap music is going to be the end of all. I've heard, all these things that there has to be adjustment. Listen, the school I went to and I went to school a long time ago. I graduated from high school a pretty long time ago, is not as good as the school my kid goes to. And they were both public schools. So all I'm saying is that these videos you're seeing make it feel like it's right there, and that it's everywhere. And I just don't think. Listen, you're saying there's laws saying that they can't tell these kids not to have a phone in school. Show me that law. I don't know. Where is
well, I don't. I'm not against that law. I'm not against that law because listen. When we were younger, the main thing is that this cell phone only represents one thing. It represents a distraction. When we were younger, our teachers made sure that we had no fucking distractions. So whatever the fuck it is that was causing a distraction, they took it the fuck away from you.
Yeah.
And they got on the phone and they talked to you, talked with your parents, and they said whatever it's like. Look,
okay,
listen.
but you're not factoring in something. No, Saint. I can be a teacher. There's no laws that they could keep it. I can be a teacher. I don't want you distracted. Give me your phone. Right? Like back in the day, they confiscated my fucking CD player. I couldn't do shit about it. I had to give it to them and then call my mom to come in and give. These motherfuckers are fighting for their phones. The teacher was trying to call the office. This little girl proceeded to swing on her. The one that I sent you with the teacher that broke her ankle, she was trying to take a phone. So teachers are quitting because it's like, so I have to call you Frog. Take your phone. You're gonna try to beat my ass. We're adding.
The teachers are not protected by the upper.
Right. It's like
that's what they're all
I have to get your pronoun right. Listen, I have to get your pronoun right because if I don't, your mother could call Eyewitness News, and then they're gonna put me on the news for being a bigot or whatever the fuck it is, anti-LGBTQ. I didn't get the pronouns right. Like it's like what Lily said earlier. It's like these kids are afraid of nothing. Like they're letting what does it say? They're letting the
inmates run the prison.
Yeah, the asylum.
Like okay, let me ask you something then.
Okay.
Let me ask you something real quick. One quick question. I'm saying. Look at the literacy rates, man. These kids are doing horrible in school, as opposed to places like China.
And I'll tell you what's going to happen there.
China.
I'll tell you real quick. That's why, and the biggest scaremongering thing that is anti-American is not letting immigrants in, because those people that are getting educated in China don't want to stay in China because it's an authoritarian government. They want to come to America and use that brain power over here. So,
but here's the thing.
Why do they want to come here though?
They've already been cultivated over there.
Make money.
Yeah, exactly. They've already been conditioned and cultivated somewhere where it's actually effective.
But
over here,
they can make money in China, but then you might get locked in.
And why would it be more lucrative for them to bring that brain power, that conditioning over here, because it would be easier, right? Because it's more lax, right?
No, because there's a free market. And they can make more money over here than they can make over in China. And again, if you didn't see what happened in the last year, where they were they were welding people in their apartments shut because of COVID.
Understand?
Not welding.
Did it work?
Nobody wants to go to China.
Did it work?
It's not. Again, China is just. I'm just using China an example. Yeah, I'm not. I don't.
But I think all these things existed. What we're talking about, as far as like so we didn't see people fighting in school because nobody had a camera back in the day. I'm just saying there were schools were shitty back then too.
Absolutely.
I beg to differ. Okay, let me. I've been wanting to.
You've been patient. You've been patient.
Can I jump in on this?
No.
Because I have a kid in grade school.
No, wait 1 second. Then.
No, saying you graduated in the 80s. I graduated in 86, right? Mm-hmm. And I think you're a couple of years behind me. So,
yeah.
Okay. Did you have metal detectors and stuff where the school was locked down when you were in high school?
A year after I left, they put metal detectors in my school.
Well, but in mine, it was a long time after that. A long time after that. There was no such thing as school shootings.
But what about New York?
And I don't know. Now this could be a cultural thing, but from what I'm hearing from
there were metal detectors in my high school.
New
York is full of immigrants.
We had corporal punishment, and my dad told me, he said, "Don't you dare make the principal call me about you. If you do, I will beat your fucking ass." Mm-hmm. And he said, "You're not going to embarrass me and your family, and you're not going to embarrass yourself." And so despite all his flaws, that was the one thing that he hammered on me.
And don't bring a black woman home to my house either.
No saying.
Listen. The man had rules. The man had rules. The man had rules.
But no saying what I'm saying. No saying, you know that there's schools, public schools that are really good because they're in really nice neighborhoods where the teachers, where the parents are engaged.
All about the zip code.
They go to they go to the PTA meetings and all that. Okay. They're on top of it. And then these other schools where they don't, and the discipline is really lax from the home, because I believe it starts in the home,
Yeah.
And so when the home is shit, they come to, and the kids are allowed to do whatever the fuck they want. They come to school and they act out, and then they tell, they get in a fight with a teacher. I'll broaden it out to the larger picture of society. What happens when we have Black Friday at Walmart? We have adults crawling around on the floor fighting over a fucking $20 toaster. That is fucking disgraceful. I mean,
That's
how
true.
we got to that point.
Before I pass the mic to Dennis Davis, I want to read this comment. It says, every U.S. citizen should live overseas for 6 months, compare their lifestyles, rights, economic opportunities, infrastructure in return. I bet you won't complain about our country anymore. That's bullshit, because I know people personally that left here and are not coming back. So that's bullshit. Have you lived overseas for 6 months and did all of that?
Yeah.
Because I know people personally who left and are not coming back here.
There are countries that are comparable that you could, like, there are certain countries I'm not this one that says, we're absolutely number one in everything. There are other countries that are comparable that you can live and be perfectly. But I think what he's saying is there's a ton of countries that aren't.
You're not gonna leave. You're not gonna leave here and then move to Iran or
right, It ain't my fault. Ain't my fault you picked the wrong country.
Dennis Davis, what say you?
What's the topic about tonight? But after I chime in on what you guys said, I came in when you said something about the little motherfuckers with the cell phone. Now, I kind of would, if there was a teacher trying to take my daughter's phone, whether she had it out or not, I would absolutely tell my daughter, don't let nobody take your phone, not even these teachers.
And here we are. This is
because
how we
for one,
I rest my
wait
case.
a minute, wait.
You're listening, no Saint?
Of today, the cell phone of today is a lifeline, and I'm way younger than all of you guys on the panel. However, with the cell phone of today,
how old are you?
I'm 33.
Oh wow.
And what I would tell you guys is there's nothing wrong with putting phones in the hands of kids. We spend money with them. We make money with them. You guys are a prime example of it, right? You could literally do this all from your phone.
Yeah.
Are you not monetizing off of it, Jen?
We're adults.
So you're okay with your child sitting in a class?
That's how I send my allowance.
But let me finish the question.
25 years ago.
I know, but let me finish the question. When you're at work, you have a job, I'm assuming. When you're at work, is it okay with your boss that you're on your phone all day checking TikTok and Instagram and Twitter and all of that? Your boss is okay with that?
Yes, I do it anyway. I'm
Where
a
do you
plumber
work?
in the union. I work in Las Vegas. I'm building the
Okay, so
Durango
you're
station right now.
So
I'm
all
a
wait
right,
a minute, if
you're
you're
construction
working
you're a
on
worker.
my
plumber.
toilet, you on your phone? If you're working on my
No
toilet?
matter, yeah, if I got to check, if I have to check a
He's
text
YouTubing
No
the
Saint, are
message
you
video
or
of how to
listening?
fix the
anything,
toilet.
No
just
Saint,
like
are you
you
listening?
guys do, I'm sure if you guys get a notification on your phone, you pull it out. That doesn't mean you're going to be on Twitter or TikTok all day.
So
That's
what do you think?
that's what these kids are
Where do you
doing.
think the
They're
kids are
kids.
looking at when they're in school? What do you think they're on their phone for? You think they're
You
what do you
don't
I
think
know,
they're
don't
do you?
doing?
know,
You don't
but
know, do you?
I can't speak for kids. But what I
Exactly.
will say is that there's a heightened awareness going on with school shootings, BS being taught. Kids aren't learning. My daughter's teacher is a 25-year-old who literally just got hired off the street.
So what's wrong with
Mm-hmm.
homeschooling if it's that bad?
But that's what we're considering now
Because I
because
think that's a
I have
better idea
she's
for
a
people who are
I
in
think
that
I think
I,
position.
people should
I'm
homeschool their
actually
children.
considering that, I am because right now in this time and age, like yesterday when I was picking my daughter up from school, there was a fight going on. She recorded it. I told her, you know what? Don't do that no more. Walk away. You tell somebody. Don't pull out your phone and record a crime because then you could get caught up in that. However, like I said, if I'm at work and if I get a notification from my daughter saying it's an emergency, I'm dropping everything and getting to her. And I told the teachers, you guys have absolutely no authority to take anything from her. And they respect that because she respects the rules. I can't speak for everybody's kids. I can only speak for mine.
No Saint. So when this is the new parent, he's 33
Yes.
years old.
Yes, this is a new day.
This is the new parent of 2023.
You do attend a public school or a private school?
She's in a public school, but however, I thought that I was in a good area, good community. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with all of Vegas. I don't know how long you've lived here, Jim, but I stay in Desert Shores. It's a very prominent gated community. I thought the public school is good, but, you know, after the pandemic, a lot of things have changed. And
The
after the
majority of
pandemic is
communities
when
out
I
here are
got the
gated.
cell phone. No, they're not.
Yes,
Go
they
to
are.
the east side of Las Vegas. Go to
Yes,
Boulder Highway.
unless you're talking about North
I
Vegas
was
or
born and raised here.
okay, okay, all right,
The
all right.
majority
Okay,
is not gated.
All right.
Okay, you're in a gated community, but your kids go to public school, so we're not rich, is what we're saying, right?
Well, I'll say this: compared to the
really.
median wage in Las Vegas, I make $157,000 a year. I would say I'm well off out here.
Okay, great. No Saint, you were saying?
Yeah, it's all relative. Bill Gates thinks you're poor. So,
and he would be right.
Yes, yes.
but yeah, that's not a bad coin to make. What I will say is exactly what I'm talking about when we're talking about people thinking things are happening in their neighborhood. So let me fill you in on the statistics since he brought up school shootings. Your kid has a 1 in 10 million chance of being involved in a school shooting. You want to take a guess on how many chances we have of getting hit by lightning? 1 in a million. Okay. So
yeah, it happens.
What I'm saying, it happens just like lightning happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is this: he's saying we're old. Listen, we grew up with there were brick phones and things like that, but that's not a lifeline. Listen, you can bring my kids have phones. They bring them to school, but they can't use them in school. That's what I'm talking about. I don't understand this thing. There's a lifeline. When you're in lesson, there's no reason for a kid to be on a phone in school. Now, if there's something that happens, sure, take it out, call 911, do whatever you have. I don't have a problem with that. I understand because it is kind of a relief. When we grew up, if you missed the bus or you were walking or you had to find a payphone. If you didn't have a quarter, you were out of luck unless you could find something. So there is convenience to having a cell phone. I understand the tool. But I don't see how it should be. There's no way a teacher does not have a right. We don't in a classroom, in a job, in anything where you are in an organization that you have people of authority over you, you only have the rights that they give you. There is no such thing as a right to have a phone in a classroom.
But
right.
And a couple of other things, No Saint, too. It was something you mentioned about the school bus and stuff that I found out in a lot of places. Two things. No matter if a child is on it beating everybody's ass on the school bus, they are not allowed to put that child off of the school bus. Hands are tied. If a child gets suspended for beating everybody in the class, they can only be suspended for 24 hours max. The third thing is we're having a lot of alternative schools being shut down because teachers don't want to deal with it. And guess where they're being put at? They're being funneled back into the regular school system. So you got the shooter of the neighborhood in there, right? You got all this other stuff. And so, but they're not allowed to be suspended for more than 24 hours. Hands are tied. Then we got parents like this that are like, if my child did it, that's what all of the teachers are saying.
No, it's not that. It's not just that, though, Lily. There's a bunch of fear mongering going on. Not only do we see it on the news, but we get, I swear to God, if you guys have kids in grade school, especially in Vegas, or your grandkids, Jen,
now
I get a text message literally every other week about somebody bringing a gun to school. There's a bunch of fear mongering going on with that, and maybe I fell for it. However,
did they bring the gun to school, or they was just shooting a text for fun? Did they actually bring a gun to school?
This is what CCSD is doing. That's Clark County School District. They're sending out these automated messages about random high schools, elementary schools, and middle schools.
Yeah.
Somebody brung a gun. And I'm getting that literally every other week.
So I know what you're talking about.
You get those too, No Saint?
Once in a while, we had a kid bring a toy gun, and it got sent out. And usually they message you saying, this is what happened, you know. But yeah, I know what he's talking about. You'll get a text message saying, you know, there was a bomb threat, or, you know, it might not even be at your school. It could be at a different school, but.
Okay.
The one thing
I just want to throw out a quick.
Wait a minute, though. These are the rules that the parents of today have to play by now. So if you guys are saying, like, I get it. There are some kids that are disrespectful assholes, and there are parents that don't really care about their kids even. Like, I think Haran said they're just glorified babysitters, pretty much. However, you know, I tried it the best that I can with my kids. And I'm with them right now. They're jumping over I got 2 daughters. They're jumping over my shoulder, trying to figure out what I'm doing.
I just want to throw out a quick piece of data real quick. Only 3% of private school teachers said they had been threatened with injury compared to 8% of public school teachers. These statistics indicate that on average, many measures of violence and crime are lower in private secondary schools than in public secondary schools. Now, I just want to basically bring this to another point. When there's money on the line, there are rules, and they will be enforced, and you will listen. So all that, you know, you calling up the teacher and telling the teacher, you have no right to touch, you know what I mean, a cell phone or whatever. No, you'll be told what happens in a private school.
In a private school, yeah.
Right.
You'll be told how it runs, because no one's gonna customize shit for you, and we got millions of more dollars on the line. So if you're not gonna follow protocol, then you can leave and you can take your child to a public school where they can fight with teachers, and they can have a WrestleMania and all that shit. You know what I mean? Yeah, sure. You can do all that wild and crazy shit that you'll put up with.
Yeah. Haran, tagging on to what you said, in where I live, they have these things called magnet schools. I don't know what they call them elsewhere, but basically they're like it's basically like there's one dedicated to the arts, and there's one dedicated to like academics. And you know, guess what? The arts and the academics, they have hardly any trouble in those schools.
Right.
If you act the fool in those schools, they will kick your ass out. And so the thing that gentleman that was on here, and I'm going to take him, I bet he loves his kids, and he thinks he's doing right by them. But when you start the concept of saying, you know what, I'm going to tell my child that they have the right to override the authority in the classroom and do what they want to do, what they think they want to do, that's a fucking problem. And that's and it's like I mean, my dad followed this this ethos of that, you know, and if you think about it, it's true. You know, the school teachers don't call your ass up just for fun, right? If they call you about your kid did something, you know.
Right, because they're trying to fuck that man.
Especially if they call my house.
Friday Eve. I had to get that one in.
You know, that's what I'm saying. And are there bad teachers? You bet there are.
Yeah.
You know, you bet there are. But that's what I'm getting at. And that started, Jen, after it really came into like the 90s and all that, because that concept about kids just, you know, saying, no, fuck you, I'm going to do what I want to do, you know, and no, it wasn't around with mine when I went to school.
Harumi, you good? Harumi, you good?
The teachers now are saying that these are the parents that they're up against when their child is watching porn or Twitter or whatever. It's like, hey, but your kid was doing this with the phone. No, you don't touch my kid's phone. That's their phone. You know, and the kids are like, oh, my mom ain't gonna do shit. My mother don't care. My mother will cuss you out too. Like, this is what they're dealing with. Like,
I mean, the girl that was swinging at the other teacher, she was like, on my mama. And that teacher, the last one that her booty was out, she said she quit. She's not going to teach anymore.
She was a substitute.
No, but she had been teaching for many years. She was a substitute in that class on that day, but she had been teaching for I don't know how many years, she said. And she said that she quit. It's not worth, she says she has a family. She has her own children. She has a husband. She just said it's not worth it. It's not worth putting herself in harm. It's not worth it. And she's quitting.
That's the other thing. We're not just having a teacher shortage. We're having a substitute shortage. And it's so bad that pretty much at this point, you just have to breathe. Just breathe and you can be here. Like, that's it, because they need bodies that bad. They can't even keep these positions filled.
That's why he said, oh, they just hired somebody who's 25 years old straight off the street, because the older teachers are like, this is not fucking worth it. The bus drivers, two bus drivers walked off the bus. They was like, I quit. You can have this shit.
Wait a minute. Wait.
Everybody's stressed.
They walked out like once they hit a curve, it was like, fuck these motherfuckers. And they just left them in the car.
Look at the video.
No, you're not allowed to put these kids out.
Look at the video.
Fight and knock me over the head. I'm gone. Y'all get
But listen, Lily, I understand why you're not allowed to put kids out of the bus. I understand it. Some of these, listen,
get the fuck off my bus.
You might know, like, I know when I was going to school, I mean, some of these kids were like 10, 15 miles away from where the school was.
We're not putting the children off the bus. We're not putting the children off the bus.
I understand.
Some of these motherfuckers need to get put off the bus, but you know what I mean? At least dangle the niggas' heads out the damn window just a little bit, just to you know, put a little fear in them. Just to put a little fear in them.
Half mile off from the bus.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And come back. You know what I mean? You know,
I just think it's a slow drip, but it's a big drip. And with the addiction of these phones, I mean, teachers, they don't get paid a lot of money. They're sitting up there, they're coming out their own pocket to get supplies, right? And then these three little assholes are in here watching TikTok. This one's watching porn. This one's laughing when I turn her. I understand.
Yeah.
What I don't understand, listen, and I know what Lily said, you can only suspend them for 24 hours, which is, I think, yeah. But what I'm saying is, listen, 4 suspensions when I was growing up got you expelled. And then you're repeating your grade. So, I mean, to me, the thing I don't understand I think some of these schools we're seeing that the people are fighting are in really, the schools are really dysfunctional. There's a million reasons we can go over. Like when you say that it falls with the parents. Well, some people have single parents. Some people, single parents, are working 2 jobs. You know, getting up at 5 a.m. to catch a bus to take them an hour and a half away to get to a job, and they're not around to discipline the kids. So I think it's a larger ill of our society anyway. But what I'm saying is that there's schools that are taking control. There are certain, there are schools out there that do it. So I don't.
Are there enough of them?
I just don't understand why it's not more. That's what is the issue with some schools? I don't care if they call the kid frog. I think that's funny as hell. But like, the phone thing, I don't understand how you can't control that.
It's laws. I mean, it's coming from the top.
Wait, because I'm confused about this. No, saying when you say, I don't understand how you can't control that. If a teacher is taking control of a class and she's saying, everybody put your phones away, okay? And little Becky, the asshole, is like, well, I got to see how many likes I got on my TikTok. What do you expect her to do?
Well, once they refuse, like if she says, you're not taking my phone, that's when you go, she, obviously she didn't know the teacher didn't know she was going to be in a brawl. I understand that. And she thought, I'm going to take care of this at this level. But if you feel like there's going to be, like, if you're saying I'm in a situation, this girl can, that girl is small, but I mean, if it's something like, if let's see, I'm a teacher. I'm in high school. No, I'm in high school.
You're tap dancing.
No, I'm not. Let's say I'm in high school and Haran is the bad student. I'm not going to take Haran's phone. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just get it. There was.
But you just said they could. But you just said they can take control.
Yeah, the school as a whole. I'm not saying the teacher. I'm saying,
but they're not.
There are rules. Like the school my kids goes to, there are rules. If you get caught with your phone out, you get in trouble. I mean, you get in trouble.
But these kids are like, I'm not in trouble. Give me my damn phone, and they're willing to fight the teachers over their phone.
And that's
let me ask you something.
Suspensions.
And here's the thing. And here's the thing. If you go to YouTube after this and you Google teacher fight student, you think it's just gonna be those two videos that we talking about?
Send you something, Saint. I'm about to send you something, and you can watch it later.
There are tons of videos. Just type in. Don't even type in that lady's name. Type in on YouTube. Yeah. Teacher fight student.
I'm just saying, we live in this country. We have a lot of fear porn that we watch.
Let me ask you something, Saint. Let me ask you something real quick.
Yeah.
I think I speak for everyone on the panel when I say that you are a very rational person. You're a very rational person. You seem as if you're home. Your children are lucky that they have you for a father. I'm not being facetious right now, and so on. Now, are your children doing well in school?
One of them's doing excellent. The other two are doing. Well, two of them are doing okay. One of them's doing excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. Have any one of these children try to, body slam a teacher over something? Have they ever done that?
No. You're not getting these calls. You're not the one getting these calls.
So you've never gotten a call talking about, someone frog. Held everyone.
Does your child like to be called frog?
Yeah, held everyone at pencil point. And made demands. You're not getting any of these points, right? Okay, so one can attest that one of the main reasons why you're not getting any of these calls is because, well, that's a great home they come from, with a great dad,
but that's not
who's a rational human being. Now these other teachers, when they call and they say, "Yeah, your frog is being a goddamn fool." These motherfuckers get cut off in the middle before they even explain. These parents is over here acting the wild goddamn fool. They just came from the club probably, or their second BBL treatment. See, this is the shit we're not talking about.
That's what I want to get to.
The gentleman who was just here a minute ago, I'm not going to say anything too wild about him, but I wouldn't mistake him for a scholar.
I was just about to say, that's the average parent that these teachers are dealing with.
And under those circumstances, if the home environment is shitty and no one gives a fuck there, children, they are a reflection of the home. And no one gives a fuck in the home. I guarantee you, 9 times out of 10.
I just think again, and I'll wrap with this. I just think again, we're living in a real strange time with this technology. It's very, very strange. And it's not just, if it was just the kids, like, oh, this is the new epidemic, the phone epidemic for the kids. Okay, but it's the parents are addicted to the phones as well. So there's no out. It's not like back in the days, like, hey, we caught Frog smoking weed, right? And the parents weren't weed smokers. So it was like, how dare he? But it's like, hey, your kid had this fucking phone, and the parent is like, and so what that mean?
Don't take my weed. Don't be taking my weed. You
right. So what's the problem? The parents are addicted to the phone. The kids are addicted to the phone. So this is it's literally like trying to teach kids who are on crack during the crack epidemic while their parents were on crack as well. That's the problem.
That's a good analogy, Jen. I like that one.
That's the problem. Because remember, during the crack epidemic, the teenagers weren't addicted to crack. None of us were. I didn't have not one friend addicted to crack. Now their parents. Their parents were addicted to crack. But with the phones, it's like the kids addicted, the parents are addicted. Have we not seen grandparents, gray hair, you know what I mean, boobs down to the waist, dancing the little TikTok. Everybody's addicted to the TikTok. So this is a different time. That's why teachers are like, it is not worth it. And then what they get paid, and then these kids have these attitudes and they're addicted to these phones, and the parents are like, they better not take my daughter phone. I pay for that phone. And how much do the phones cost? These kids are going to school with $1,000 phones. So you know the parents gonna be like, give my daughter phone back. This is what the teachers are dealing with. I wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't do it either.
And
they're going to get it back after class, but they don't have the cognitive, to be able to know that they just are so addicted to these phones. They lash out without even thinking.
It's a strange time.
Like
parents, I was speaking with a teacher one time before, and and we were having a discussion about my child's behavior. My child's not a bad kid, but they were saying something to the effect of something she said. And when they said it, I was like, yeah, my kid did that. Because I know my kid.
I know her.
I know my kid. You know what I mean? I'm not one of those parents who are like, oh, God, no, never. My kid fucking did that. I looked at my child's mother. I was like, she did that, right? Like, we don't need any video proof or whatever. Right. We don't need confirmation. We know this motherfucker did this shit. She did it this morning. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Haran, you're making another point. You have two active parents.
That's another point. That's another point. Mm-hmm. And another thing too is that people have to be aware, and they just have to be, cognizant of what kind of child you have. You know what kind of child you got.
And this is why
what they would do.
Okay, no, Saint, going to your point, we love you, but this is why I made this thumbnail. You see that infant there with that thing on his head?
Yeah.
And the people with the guns and the chick all crazy and the Capitol riots in the background. Like this, we've never lived in a time where they're sticking this in an infant's hand. So now the infant is conditioned, right? And addicted to it. So it's a strange time. This isn't back in the day where it's like one fight down the hallway once a year. This is like constant. Everybody's looking for content. Everybody wants to fight. He just said, look how young his daughter looked. And what does she do during the fight? I got to get this because I got to pin it in my TikTok. This is the world we live in now. He told her, don't do that again. You think she's going to listen to him?
Right.
Gentleman who was here trying to have a conversation, he couldn't have a conversation because he had his kids crawling over him every fucking 5 minutes.
He's the cool dad. Everybody wants to be the cool mom. Everybody wants to be
I'm just like, unfortunately, I don't know, man. I want to be optimistic, no Saint, but the future looks bleak, man.
Look, listen, can I ask a question? When no Saint, all the gentlemen, everyone here, can I ask a question? When in human history has there ever been a balanced culture? Okay, Jen, you can say what you want about our households, how we grew up. The shit was structured, okay?
Oh, right? Yeah.
You know what I mean? The This shit was structured. Look, if you pray for the rain, you're gonna have to deal with the mud. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'd rather be in that situation than have the motherfuckers just run amok.
Right.
It was the Garcia regime in the Bronx. Okay. In my house growing up.
Mine was like we had the rope. We had enough rope to hang ourselves. But we knew, that's why it was like very down the middle. It was like, but it wasn't like, like we're going out. No. Let me be really clear. Like for instance, I go out to play or whatever. We knew your ass could be a goddamn China, but your ass need to be back here before that street light come on. I don't give a fuck if you was on Mars. You better be back here when that street light. It was like little things like that. My mother was like, "You can do this, but let me let you know." And she was dead ass serious. Like, where her yes was her yes, her no was her no, and the boundaries were extremely clear. I didn't play with her. I didn't play.
Anybody here ever knelt on rice as punishment? Okay.
That sounds like a Japanese torture from World War II.
Well, I always said my dad probably read The Art of War before he disciplined us.
I had to dodge an iron.
That was a form of punishment in our home, kneeling on rice in the dark. Kneeling on rice.
I know somebody who had to deal with that too. His dad was
a torture. That was a torture.
Yeah.
Say again, Nose.
I said, I'm not lying when I think I've heard that as a torture, like either in Vietnam or World War II.
Yeah. And believe it or not, that is a BDSM punishment.
Mm-hmm. Rice? Kneeling on rice?
That sounds like one, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it spans like the Caribbean and people of color, but it was very like, yeah, my dad would kneel you on the fucking rice in the fucking dark and just you'd be kneeling down on rice in the dark by yourself.
Wow.
And my dad was so he wasn't like, I'm like, yo, come tell me I'm gonna beat your ass because you did X, Y, and Z. My dad was psychological. He was like, have you seen the rice can in the kitchen? And I'm like, no, why? What's going on? Right. He was like, why don't you bring it to me? I want to see something. And I'm like, okay. And then my dad was a tyrant. My dad, I could write a book. My father was no fucking joke.
In Jamaica, there was a caretaker we had, and his name was Dawn, I think.
Guantanamo Bay.
That lady was tough, and Dawn used to do things. I remember. She was a big, fat lady, like titties hang past her fucking knees and shit. And anytime she'd get angry, or we wouldn't listen. And yes, this happened to me a lot because I was just whatever. She'd have a block. She had a wooden block. And she'd slap the fuck out your hand with the wooden block. She'd like, put your hand. And there's been many a times when I had to put my motherfucking hand out and get it smashed with that fucking wooden block because I didn't listen. I was always testing the limits and testing authority. And she would take that fucking block and she would smash my fucking
There was
hand.
no negotiating. There was no negotiating in our home. No, that word wasn't. We didn't even know what that word meant. Negotiate.
You would not dare talk back to your dad, would you, Jen?
What? No. I didn't want.
My mother is middle row. That woman was crazy.
When I became an adult and I had my own children, and there was an incident where my daughter called me and she was like, "Oh, grandpa did blah, blah." I snapped and I confronted my father. I was like, "Don't you ever, I will kill you where you sit." Like, don't you ever. Because I just got a flash of like, I didn't want her to go through what I went through. And I was like, don't. And he sat there and he took it. Like my dad he sat there and he took it very stoic. You know what I mean? Because I was like, you're not going to do to these children what you did to us. Don't you. It was so epic, like a movie and everything. With the music playing.
You don't want your kids going through that shit. You don't want your kids.
Yeah, it's like, no. And then my daughter was a precious little thing with the two little pigtails and a little pink outfit. I was like, no,
I've never in my life put my hands on my daughter. I've never put my hands on my daughter.
Yeah, never. No, not my baby. Not my baby. No. I was like, Nah, it stops
I
with
never had
me.
I never had to. I give her one look, and then she hears the tone of my fucking voice, and she straightens the fuck up.
Play the dramatic music. It stops with me.
My dad would take his
all right, guys, let's get that fuck out of here.
Like this and say that was our signal to come refill his glass.
I thought that was a Bud Light can for a minute.
No.
Oh, you had to get the water too. We always had to get our dad's water and get it twice because he used to drink out. You know them big glass beer mugs with the little squares on it. A lot of people have them. That fucking when he used to come in the house, we had to take off his boots and go get his damn fucking water. No, Saint, no.
He had 2 legs.
Yeah, no. When Dad came home, like the energy was like. He took the energy out of the room, and everybody was on their P's and Q's. Like we used to whisper like little inmates. He's back here in the kitchen.
Wow.
No, my dad was ferocious, and he had weapons. You know, it's lots of weapons. We was like, okay. He chained my brother to the bed, and then I'll wrap here because I want to save it for the book. But my brother went down a hill without brakes on a bicycle. And my father was like, oh, you want to take risks? Well, let's see how long. He chained him to the radiator.
Oh.
Chained him to the. Now imagine being, a little girl in the other room and you hear your brother's chain in the next room. Like I learned my multiplication tables because I saw my brother get his ass beat. You know how fast I learned to multiply after I saw that shit? I was in school like 1 times 1, 2 times 2. And that's how I know my multiplication table like that to this day because I was like, oh, I'm not getting whooped. No, my dad.
That's why I was telling Jen, I literally would have died in that house. Jen, man. By the time I hit my
tried. He almost. No, he tried. Again, I want to save it for the book, but no, my dad was. I'm talking about he used to walk. He had this thing, and he was always alone. And we used to see him walk down the block, and you would see the people in the neighborhood, like, oh, there go, such and such. And I was like, here, he coming upstairs, fuck. And when you little, you be praying for your parents to die. He always came home. Mm-hmm. I was like, please, God, kill him, take him away. Please, God, please. But I thankfully grew up an adult. I understand that something happened to him.
Right, exactly. He was a man before he was your father.
Right.
He was a boy before he was a man.
Right. I'm like, something happened to him. Something happened to him, and not all of us have the tools or the outlets or the ways to get over shit. I'm strong enough to where it's like, I'm not going to do to my daughter what you did to me. It just stops with me. But my dad obviously went through some shit as a kid. Like, he told me, and I love my dad. He did the best with what he could. It's just, sex makes babies, and certain people shouldn't have babies because they don't know how to deal with it. Yeah. But, I love my dad. I mean, I'm a boss because of him. Trust and believe. I don't take no shit. I don't, I didn't do drugs. I wasn't promiscuous. When I did stray, it was because I was selling them. I wasn't, my parents were like, you better not come back pregnant. I'm like, pregnant? I'm trying to come back with a key. What you talking about? Come back pregnant? Ain't nobody think about no sex, but, that's when I strayed, when I was like, fucking, what can my dad do? Kill me? And he tried. He damn near tried. But I was like, I'm escaping. Yeah, I was a runaway slave. Thank you for the last super chat of the night. Adam Hearn says, is European Western style freedom compatible with people of color? I hear a lot passed down trauma from colonization and slavery. Is European Western style freedom compatible with people of color?
No.
I think it is.
That's a very complex. That's a very complex. I'm gonna have to sit down and think that one out. Yeah, we that's a topic within itself. Mm-hmm. Write that down. That's a topic.
Let me write that one down.
What, can you explain that to me? This question?
Let him explain it, and then we got to do research on that one.
Yeah, what did he mean?
What he's essentially saying is that in terms of how white people basically govern themselves and their style of freedom, will it necessarily work with blacks based on the fact that we have to deal with the traumas of slavery and so on and so forth? Because a lot of times, because of slavery, we think that violence is effective. And the only you know what I mean, course of action.
I do want to have a spanking topic because I know, first of all, just quickly before we go, I just want to hear from the panel. Do you believe in spanking or not? I know you don't. You probably, no saint, you throw cotton balls at your kids when they don't behave. I told you stop it.
Bubbles.
Yeah. Bubbles. You do, you come out the bubble gun. I told you stop it. Put it down.
Having a dad that was similar to yours, I do believe in it, but it's like at a very, very, it has to be an extreme case for it to get there. I mean, my dad, when he got mad, he beat my ass. That's how it went. Not because something to correct me on. It was mainly a reaction. And so I can empathize with you, Jim, what, you know, your own position on this. I kind of, you know, so I'm like, there are more effective methods than spanking, but I don't completely rule it out, because there are some people, I've learned this in life, there are some people that the rod or the fist is that's their language of that's how you reason with them, you know. So, but that's just me.
Lily, spank, no spank.
No, no spanking. I look at it the same way as like, keep your hands to yourself, right? Now, if this child becomes a 6'5" teenager and he want to attack, you better beat his ass. It's me or you. You know what I'm saying? But like, if you're self-defense, because that happens, especially with people who have children that may be on the spectrum and they haven't, you know, whatever, and they get strong. You know, so if you're defending your life, yes. But other than that, no.
No Saint bubble gun or no bubble gun?
No, I don't believe in it. Spanking.
You don't believe in it?
I mean,
you're gonna
no, I was going to say, I mean, I can't wait till this topic comes up. Maybe I should save some of my comments for when this topic comes up.
Yeah, because I've been thinking about, Lily, write that down. We need a spanking. And I want someone to come up here and talk about, I'll see if I could get me a little shrink friend or something to come up and talk about the results and all that.
That would be really interesting to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't, I personally, I've never hit my daughter. I would never spank my daughter. However, I needed to get spanked.
Say again?
I needed to get spanked coming up. I needed that shit. I didn't try to burn the house down a couple of times.
That's so sad that you think that, but we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it. I promise you.
If you had a son, would you spank him?
No, but if I had a son, yes, I'd be harder on him than I am on my daughter. I will be, and as double standard as that sounds, yes, I would be harder on the boy than I would be on actually I'm harder on my nephew than I am on my own daughter.
Yeah, you have higher
spanking.
Expectations of them. Yep.
Spanking should start young, if not too late, once older. I'll wrap with this because I'm telling you, I want to have a shrink up here because I have seen, there was this woman once who's a psychiatrist and she was talking about like the results of spanking, what it does to your brain and all of that shit. So I want to dissect it. I don't want just us come up here and be like, I do it. I don't do it. I do it. I needed it. You know what I mean? People be like, I turned out fine. And I'm like, did you? All right. So, but I'll say this, because I know we're going to need the race bell that day because white people, white people are made fun of because they don't spank. Okay, right? Flag on the play. Right? Because white people are made fun of because they don't spank. Right? I would if that was my kid. Blah blah. And then it's like we grow up getting spanked and continuing to spank. And it's like, yeah, look at, I wouldn't do it. But then it's like, when you look at white people, they run this bitch. So how can, you know what I mean? When people say like, yeah, they gonna run all over, they run this bitch. So it doesn't make sense. And not only that, when they, survey men in prison, the majority have been spanked. They grew up in violence. The majority have been spanked. But we're going to get into it. It's deep. We're going to get into it. It's deep.
I love this topic. I love this topic today, and I can't wait for that one.
I changed my so I want to talk about how I changed my because I used to be all for spanking, and
George,
now
you
I'm
funny.
like, no. So yeah, that's going to be a really interesting topic because I came to some new places.
Because I'm passionate about that shit, and a lot of people are surprised at my stance. They're like, "But you supposed to whoop there, beat your ass," you know?
Yeah, Jen,
I'm all the way on the
when you said that. Yeah.
No, I'm all the way on the white side. Sorry, guys.
But you know what, though, Jen? You know what? I will say this. I will speak for myself. I don't know, Jen, if this might be what you're agreeing with. I don't necessarily like talking about it a lot. Jen and I talk about it a lot. I basically was born in the fucking violence.
Mm-hmm.
And exactly. So when you're born into that, where it's just this constant thing,
get acclimated.
You want to make sure that once you become an adult, you want to guard your kids from that shit as much as fucking possible. You don't want them nowhere near it. Like, I was glad that my dad died before my daughter got here. Because I didn't want that motherfucker near my kid. Because if he did anything to him, anything, or said anything, the difference between me and Jen, the way she talked to her dad, I wouldn't have talked. I just wouldn't have talked.
I was just like, I'm not doing that.
You know what I mean?
I always be surprising George. I'm telling you, people be thinking I'm one way or I think one way. And I'm trying to save the turtles' noses. I don't want no spankings. All right, let's get out of here. Okay, yeah, we gotta go. All right, guys. So love you all. Good night. Come back. Listen, if I could get the shrink on the line, we may skip Freaky Friday for the spanking thing, but I don't know, a short notice.
I would love that.
Because we don't gotta go. If I can get in contact with her tomorrow, we'll do it tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
All right, guys. Love you all. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you for holding me down, chat. If you're still here, hit that like and subscribe for Mama. Don't forget to support the show. Cash App on the block with Jen if you're catching the replay. Come back tomorrow. Don't forget, every Saturday is the Block Talent Battle, okay? We got some talent coming up to compete for a $100 cash prize. Block Talent Battle, 8 p.m. Eastern, every single Saturday. If I get in contact with the shrink, we will have the spanking episode tomorrow. If not, we'll do Freaky Friday. We shall see, all right? Thank you for holding me down, chat. Good night. Harumi, no problem. That's what the block is for. Welcome and welcome back when you come back. All right, guys. Thank you, ladies, in the chat for holding me down as well. You guys rock. Have a great night. And I'm out.